welcome everybody to the 2019 BTN Preseason Invitational. Let's take a quick recap of what happened in last week's matches. Michigan took the series 2-0 against Maryland in pretty dominant fashion, looking like a great start to their season, not even giving up a single game, and looking very confident in that performance as well. And elsewhere on the Rift, we also did see Minnesota in a very impressive comeback against Wisconsin, down 1-0 in the series early on, but they were able to rally the troops and bring it back 2-1 to end out the weekend. Great performance coming in from the Minnesota squad, currently undefeated right now in their conference. Thank you for stopping by today, though. For more League of Legends Collegiate action, I am your host, Steve Sir Buttkick Kangas, and I hope that you're all having a great end to your ranked season climb. I have to admit, mine is done. I've settled. I have to be okay with where I am right now. I am, of course, a plat player, but two much higher skilled players as my analysts. I got the college professor himself, Stephen Returned Johnson, and the always lovable Aiden's Irene Moon. Thank you, gentlemen, for being on the desk today.
I don't work with quitters, dude. No. You got to get back in there.
Okay, I've done the math. I've done the math. I need 18 wins to hit Diamond this season, and I have about 10 hours in my schedule to get there. Is it possible?
I think
we can get it?
Yeah.
I'm feeling it.
You just got to go on a big streak.
This is the type of energy that I need in my ear during every ranked game I play, because I got Return there, and he's great. He's great Return.
I mean, if you don't engage on the volley bear, when I say don't engage, you be Diamond. But
you know what? You have a point there.
no saltiness.
For anyone not aware of the format right now, let's send it over for a quick explanation.
The BTN 2019 Preseason Invitational is an opportunity for players to hone their skills and develop new strategies going into the next CLOL season. Players will have more chances to compete against their rivals and see their games brought to life on the big screen. The tournament starts with a round-robin stage. The East and West divisions are separated, then each team will play all other teams within their division. All matches will be played as a best of 3. Each team's record during the round-robin stage will determine who qualifies for the playoffs. The top 2 teams from each division will meet in a single elimination bracket in the playoffs. The top 2 teams, one from each division, will play a best of 5 grand finals and be crowned the champions.
Now that we're all a little more aware of what's going on behind the scenes, interesting to note, again, the changes from last season to this season. Of course, on the East Conference, only 5 teams competing in their single round robin. And Return, I'm curious, who so far is the front runner in this conference?
I think when you're looking at the East, it really is starting to become a runoff between the Michigans. I mean, we were talking a little bit about Ohio at the beginning of the season. We have Riverell coming in. We've got, a lot of new squads coming up around. But when you look at these standings, that's not quite how it played out. It's all Michigan today.
Yeah, I mean, Michigan State and Michigan University. I feel like between those two, I personally favor University of Michigan a little bit more. I can't wait for that matchup, though. That'll be happening later on in a few weeks.
Yeah, 2-0 for both of those squads. Ohio State University yet to pick up a single match win, sitting at 0-2, the only one on the East there. So I'm wondering when they're going to come up, because they have been taking game wins against opponents, but not catching that full match yet. Penn State and Maryland both 1 and 2 currently sitting at that middle of the pack. Both have a full season to make that comeback run if they have that in them.
Yeah, and of course, remember that it is top 2 and in a 5-team region. It is somewhat simple to make that late season push, especially if Michigan State or Michigan drop a game. I mean, tomorrow we're looking at that Michigan State versus Michigan matchup, which of course you're going to have to tune into. It's going to be hotly contested, but whoever comes out the loser of that, all of a sudden Penn State, Maryland, you're in striking distance.
Yeah, now let's take a look at the West Conference themselves. Minnesota in the lead right now, 4-0. Illinois trailing right behind. Going into this tournament, one of the favorites, Purdue 2-1, and then the rest, Iowa, Wisconsin, Nebraska, Northwestern, all struggling to catch that top half of the bracket.
Yeah, it is going to be a bit of an interesting feat whether or not Illinois is going to run away with it. Well, if you've watched Collegiate before, you probably know about Illinois. They've been to the CLOL Finals before, and it is, for me, going to be that catch-up race. Minnesota, they've been looking good, and I know Minnesota native Steve Sir Buttkick Kangas.
Oh, you're outing me.
Just a little bit.
You're outing me.
I feel like when it comes to these types of things, you just have to wait until they play each other, because sometimes teams will go on big tears, but then when they play the team that is clearly number 1 in terms of Illinois, sometimes they falter and then they can't pick themselves back up. So I want to see what Minnesota look like when they play them and when they play the subsequent teams afterwards, because sometimes you just fall apart.
And, of course, also, we have our matches coming up today. We're going to see Michigan State on the eastern side first, going up against the Ohio State University. And this one's interesting to me in particular because pretty much last call for Ohio State. They're sitting at 0-2 match record, but first let's take a look at Michigan State themselves. Full roster here, looking deadly.
Yeah, I mean, the whole roster together, especially when you realize that they're majority holdovers from last season, they're already starting on a good foot. They nearly conquered the Eastern Division last time around, and they're going to be trying to do it in 2020 as it comes around. But Dillaran, of course, leading as a senior from the bottom lane, brings you not only that high-ranking experience, but also just that long-term experience that you're looking to really be the root of this team.
And Zyrene, I'm curious your thoughts here. Michigan State, one of the few schools with the majority returning roster. 4 out of 5, the same from last season. What kind of advantage does this give them in your eyes?
Well, the fact that they made it all the way to the finals and went 5 games up against Illinois, that gives them a lot of confidence. It also means that what they were doing, they can build upon instead of having to restructure from the beginning, which a lot of teams have to do when they bring in new rosters, new pieces, new people, is they have to retool everything, even the way they play the game. Sometimes even just changing one player like they did can change the way your entire team plays. Hasn't been that story here for them just yet, though. They are pretty much a lot of the same team, with just a couple of different nuances.
Yeah, Michigan State University looking far and away one of the strongest teams in the Eastern Conference, if not one of the strongest teams in the entire tournament so far, but this is still the preseason invitational. So Zyrene, I like that you brought up being able to build off of last season. A lot of these other teams are figuring out what their identity is and determining how they're going to go into the collegiate season coming up.
Yeah, and when we're talking about building, I mean, you have a team here in Ohio that, once again, we were all kind of like, oh, are they going to pop off? They've been looking in the past, never really been able to get the job done. We're talking about building. This is a team that's still missing that foundation, and that foundation's got to come from somebody here on this Ohio State squad. You see their roster up there on the screen, coming back. They're not out just yet. You know, don't have to erase them from the system quite yet, but as you mentioned before, one loss here, and you might as well take them off.
Yeah, notable changes here to the Ohio State University roster. OSU Cyborg, name change, still returning from last season.
Ayla Mauzadong.
Ayla Mauzadong, what a name.
It's such a more fun name, and
it just rolls off the tongue,
yeah.
really. But Riverell, really the big player here from Ohio State University. They play around the bot side a lot, and we've seen that they're confident to put resources into this freshman bot lane player. A lot of confidence from the team.
Yeah, and him going up against Dillaran, that's really kind of a matchup that I'm looking forward to, because if he's going to lead his team to victory, he has to do it through the bottom lane here. He has to be able to crush there and then move to other parts of the map. It's a tall order and a tall task for him, but he might be up to it today.
Yeah, and it's going to be insane. I mean, when you look at Ohio State, it's normally been that top-side focus, but one thing that has really plagued Ohio State this season is that bottom lane map awareness. I mean, we've seen them back at HughFest. We've seen them when they're at their peak. They can do well, but these last few matches, especially these last few weeks, it has just been gank after gank in the bottom side. We have a jungler in the top lane, and bottom lane is already under the enemy team's tower. It's not really appreciating where that is on the map, and it's preventing Riverell from hitting that late game power fantasy that you expect out of an ADC.
And we've seen them find success occasionally. Again, they haven't won a match yet, but they have won games in every single series that they've played. So they have not gone undefeated in game record. I'm curious when they're really going to find that stride, like you said, return. Start focusing more on the macro, reading the map better, and playing around Riverell stronger than they have so far.
I think that's a great point, because when I watch this team, I'm a jungler, so I always look at junglers. I feel like Icelandic Hero has a tendency to go to the top side of the map. It might be because of the returning member in OSU Cyborg, maybe leading the team a little bit more, but I feel like going towards the bottom side and kind of being less predictable is going to be a winning formula for them here, because if the other team thinks that they'll go top and you can catch and counter gank bottom, or you can show up bottom when they feel like, you know, their research and, you know, watching scrims will kind of point to they don't go towards the bottom side, you can pick up a win off of a higher level team by doing that type of thing.
Yeah, and I mean, when you're looking at Michigan State, this is one of those squads who I'd expect to take advantage of that. I mean, you have Sunlight in the top lane, who's been having some pretty stellar performances. Nightshade isn't throwing any shade, or hasn't had any shade thrown at him, rather, in the mid lane. And then Dillaran is that carry on the bottom side, all wrapped up with RBM, who has been having an improvement since the CLO National Championships. And you have a team that can attack you any way, shape, or form. So yeah, just like Zyrene said, if you just focus bottom lane, there are 2 other lanes on the map.
Yeah, Michigan State looking like one of the stronger teams for Ohio State to go up against in this crucial match. And we actually had an opportunity to sit down and chat with their mid laner, Nightshade, to hear his words on the coming match. Hello, and thank you for joining me today. Scott, I am Nightshade Filato. Appreciate you taking the time. Got a game coming up ahead of us. I'm excited to see it. I hope you're excited to play it. Are you worried at all about OSU?
No, not really. I think OSU is 0-2, so not looking too hot, but I don't think it will be too hard of a game.
Okay, do you think it's going to be a 2-0 or a 2-1? Because so far they've taken a game off of everybody.
Um, well, maybe if we troll a little bit too hard in our draft, maybe they'll take a game off, but probably unlikely.
So speaking of trolling, I'm happy you brought it up because last week we saw some interesting drafts coming in. You were getting a little confident in that game too, the full Yordle comp. You want to talk me through that at all?
We just kind of decided that every game two we would have a interesting draft. Let's say the least, and we just picked a full Yordle comp for some reason. Our jungler really wanted to play Teemo, so we just did like, oh, we could just do 5 Yordles then, and so that's what we did.
A man after my own heart. So I'm going to hold you to that. Game 2 of every single series you play is going to have to be something wacky. I know that last time we interviewed a really big meme, your jungler, he explained that the only team you're afraid of, or that you considered even a challenge, was Illinois. Now, looking at the other side of the bracket, we have Illinois and Minnesota both undefeated right now. Is it still only Illinois, or are you now factoring Minnesota into that as well?
I think it's still only Illinois. I've never heard of any of the players on Minnesota before, so I can't really say if I'm too worried, but I think it's only Illinois.
All right. Well, thank you so much for your time. I am Nightshade. I appreciate you stopping by, and good luck on the games today.
Thank you.
You heard it. Second
Yeah.
game. Second game of every match. They're going to play something wacky. I'm holding them to that. Seriously.
Yeah, I mean, we'll have to see, because remember, Ohio State's team that, finds that one victory, you got to be really careful to make sure that it doesn't snowball into a game 2 or game 3 somewhere.
Yeah, and Ohio's been able to take a game off of each of their opponents so far, sitting at a 2-4 game record, even though it's an 0-2 match record. So they are able to kind of punch up in terms of their competition. I don't know how far they can punch up, though. This is a big reach. This is a big difference.
Probably the biggest that we've seen so far in the tournament, but all our questions will be answered soon. But I want to take a quick moment to thank our partner in the broadcast, Grubhub. Make sure that you participate in the fun and the action by going onto social media, onto Twitter at ESL Collegiate, and voting on what delicious meals we get to try out at the end of the broadcast on the Cast and Chat Chowdown. I've gotten to try some Thai food. Zyrene, I think you got some ice cream one time. I'm not quite sure.
I stole some ice cream.
You stole
Yeah,
some ice cream.
somebody
There
else
we go.
had it, yeah.
Okay, that's what it was. So I'm not. I never check the options. I want to go into this blind. Do you two know what's going on?
Not a clue, no. We'll
Okay.
just, whatever Grubhub
Not today.
brings, we shall eat.
Try and pick something good, at least. They always pick something spicy. It's always...
I think it's because we always say, please don't pick spicy, and by the transitive property of Twitch chat, they always pick something spicy.
You know what?
So whatever you do, don't pick the most delicious option on there.
Reverse psychology. Professor Return.
Exactly.
I like it. I like it right there. But honestly, go on. Make sure you participate. It's really fun to get all the interaction, and we get free food. That's the best part for us, for sure. The Grub Hubby gets to come by and drop that off. Bringing us back to the match, though, Michigan State up against the Ohio State University. If we're thinking stylistically how these two teams match up, Ohio State, we talked about it, they're punching up. Where are they aiming?
I think they're aiming, as we already said, in the bottom side. It has to be a two-pronged attack for me. You have to be playing a lot more mindfully in Ohio State's side, because it's not like they're not allocating resources to the bottom half of the map, but whenever that jungler is not in the bottom lane, they just plus up. They play under the enemy tower. They don't really respect where pressure is, and that prevents them from getting to these late game scenarios. I think you put the top lane Cyborg back onto something that's a little bit more carry style, as we've seen in the past without Mao Zedong, but then you need to be mindful of that bottom lane. Allow yourself to hit that late game, and I think Ohio State's in full stride.
So you're saying you want them to play a little bit safer on the bottom side when their jungler is kind of going after the top side of the
You got
map.
that seesaw of power. You got to be up sometimes. You got to be down sometimes as well. If you just have a seesaw and you're always up, you're not having fun.
Well, I think that you can remedy that and just kind of make a bridge and just have Luigi be the person who carries from the mid lane. So you can have 2 points kind of covered, one by a jungler, one by a mid laner. But I feel like if you go to the mid lane as the jungler, you can free him up to kind of go wherever you want. And if they're able to topple the mid lane, don't think it'll be easy for them, I would say. But it's definitely kind of the best place to go on any champion or any roster because of the location of the map. So I feel like if you're able to free up Luigi, and he's shown that roaming seems to be a little bit of his forte this season, that's what I think could be the key to victory.
So it sounds like from both of you, you want Ohio State to be focusing more on these solo lanes where they have been focusing around Riverell, free up the rest of the team, enable the rest of the team to make an impact as well. We'll see if they do just that, as we did have some technical difficulties, but we're already into the draft. We're already seeing some advanced comps here. Michigan State locking in the Kale Olaf Jinx. Ohio State University locking in the Kaisa, Elise, and Nautilus.
Yeah, do keep in mind we are on the live patch 9.22. Senna is up and available.
Yes.
Our producer Drake does not think he'll be picked today. I personally, as a
Garbage champ, as I believe he's.
I love the champion from, if you see my solo queue record, but it is new. It is a pretty big competition, so not sure if it's going to see the light of day so far. Already second ban phase. First thing that catches my eyes, Sunlight on the Kale. I don't think I've seen a Kale in this tournament that I've liked.
Very true, actually.
Yeah.
I feel like it's been pretty lackluster. Definitely a mid-game champion, less so that big late-game power that people knew her for when she first got reworked. And I feel like people have been playing for that later part. But I like the way that this team competition has already been going because they have the Kale first pick, but then they also have the Olaf to enable it to get to that mid-late game and allow the Kale to bully whoever they're up against and kind of take over the game. And the Jinx is that late game insurance. So they aren't just putting everything in the Kale basket early, mid, or late.
But I like what Ohio State does here. They realize that Michigan State has not picked their mid laner yet, and that will be crucial to get this composition to the mid and to the late game. The Jinx is going to be tough to play on the bot side, so now Michigan State's going to have to pick their mid laner, and Ohio State will get the counter matchup.
Yeah, and they will, but also keep in mind that with those side lanes as well, since you picked them this early, since you already banned away the Morgana into the Nautilus matchup, you're probably looking at two pretty suboptimal side lanes at this point, so it does have to be something around the mid lane. And I believe that's actually going to be the Ornn. So when you're talking about everything into late game basket, you just got like a second basket and you just keep piling into there.
So I'm wondering if this will be the Kale mid then or the Ornn support. I think Ornn support's less popular, less likely, but they have yet to lock in their last one, so they're making that final decision here. The Kale blind pick mid would be a bold decision for sure. And looks like that's what we're getting.
Yeah, Tom Kench. And I'm looking around going like, Nautilus taken away, yes, but it's like Leona's still up. You can still pick that. You can still go after some other things too, but you're looking at even like a Xayah Rakan still left up here and not picked up. So there's a lot here that's kind of shifted just in the course of a week.
Certainly has, and I do want to keep in mind that for Michigan State, a team that has already been pretty reliant on RBM, to a really big meme, to make a lot of these plays in the early to mid game, that is very much the same factor in this matchup. I mean, already you're looking at a Renekton into the Kale, so you're not expecting Kale to walk away with a big advantage, or Kale into the mid lane rather, so that's going...
Well, it should be the Renekton, though, because they do lock in that Shen, which signals to me they want that counter. They want to send the Croc in the mid lane to punish that Kale.
Well, exactly, but the bigger thing that I was trying to get at there is that you don't have any of these lanes that are going to inherently have much kill pressure, that don't inherently have much pushing potential. I mean, Kale, you got range, but there's also a Crocodile on the other side, so you are going to be looking at the Olaf to be a majority of that early game, kind of the pick-me-up, what gets us to those later game points. And we've been critical of RBM in the past, so this is definitely going to be a big old skill check.
Yeah, this is pretty, I would say, low priority here for Michigan State. But on Ohio State's side, I'm really curious because they swapped the Renekton to the top side there. I don't know if they're doing a lane swap, if they're doing something along the lines of having even the top laner play in the mid lane. I think they did that once before in the first week, if I remember correctly.
I believe so.
So I feel like this is a really weird kind of match that's about to come out here. They're throwing all these types of wrenches into the works, and I want to know what they're going to do with this Shen, because wherever they put the Shen, I feel like that's where you're not going to be focusing. If you are, you're focusing it early, but then later you want to make cross-map plays. So if this is a top lane Shen, they can get the Renekton priority with Luigi and go down to the bot side as 4 or 5 people. I think that could be something that really breaks the game open.
I think this is probably one of the most dynamic matchups that we've seen. You have one team that's just basically fully invested into the late game, we scale, classic strategy. And you have the other team that has, a Renekton at least early game where you're looking to tower dive, you're looking to make those cross-map plays, and then always comes the burden of execution. That is going to fall on Ohio State. They have had issues executing in the past, but this game, realistically, you have to say, they're either going to put up or shut up under their own weight.
Well, it's time for us to put up or shut up. Who do you think's taking the match victory? Looking at these drafts, I'm seeing Michigan State centered all around Dilleren. It's the Jinx show. I'm giving it to them. I feel like they have a comp that works for what they've been winning with.
I think looking at this squad and looking at the specific ways that Michigan State have lost games in the past, it has somewhat, for me, been around that map execution, has been, especially around the Dragon Pit. I think it's like the #1 crutch that I've seen for Michigan State from time to time. And if there's one composition that Ohio State could pull that gets them this game, I think it's this one. I'm not predicting the series win, but I think that game 1 goes Ohio's way.
Yeah, I like Ohio State's composition because they have a lot of good early game here with the Renekton and the Elise. But I still feel like I have to favor Michigan State based off of the fact that they just seem like overall pound for pound better players, and I feel like that will usually come out on top here in these situations, despite the composition for Ohio State being quite good. Elise Renekton, very fabled cocoon after the W ganks, like very easy to do. They have to snowball that, and that's on Michigan State to avoid.
Yeah, we'll see if Michigan State can absorb that early game pressure coming out from the Ohio State, but we're ready to send it on into our game #1 for the day, brought to you by Grubhub. I'm excited to see which composition wins out at the end. We talked about it, the Ohio State, they can win this early game, but Michigan State University, if they get to that late game, if they hit these item power spikes with the Ornn, with the Kale and Jinx carries, it's going to be terrifying.
Yeah, and that is basically the synopsis of this game. Can Ohio State hit this early game? And in Collegiate, we have what I call the Yasuo curse. It's whenever there's a Yasuo plus like a Gragas on the team, that is always where the burden of execution is too much. People cripple under pressure, especially most famously the Maryville roster coming out of the north. But I think the Renekton has a very similar feel to it. You have to get something done early. Otherwise, the Crocodile just falls off a cliff. And as you know, crocodiles do not have wings.
Yeah.
They usually
They're fast on the ground.
go underwater.
Yeah.
They don't go above water. They don't fly, so...
They're very
if they fall
aerodynamic, though,
yeah.
so they'll fall quickly.
Well,
right?
I mean, if they're like pointed down, they're like a missile just going down. But I think overall, the point we're trying to get is that you don't want to jump off the cliff for Ohio State. You want to stay on it, hopefully the swampy part.
You want to pull the old reverse Uno card and be like, no, you're falling off the cliff.
Yeah, I'm not sure that's a valid strategy in League of Legends, but we'll see. Maybe it happens. There's no Twisted Fate. There's no Uno cards here at all.
That Twisted Fate was one I was thinking of for Michigan State University right away. But seeing that early game, we saw Ohio State University try and go for a cheeky little invade. Sent all 5 men there, but now Cyborg's alone on the top side. Here comes Moonlight and Sunlight, the tag team combo. Force the taunt to be taken right away. Cyborg does get out, but this does mean he's going to be low on health going into laning phase.
Yeah, and that means that potentially we're going to be seeing the split jungle coming through. Good thing for Ohio State here, especially with Cleveland on the Nautilus. I think they have a bit more bot lane priority. But actually, hold on, as that, Dylan and Michigan State make it to bot lane first. This could be a risky invasion coming through if Moonlight decides to come on back, if we see the movement out of Nightshade. But actually, I had to say that maybe we're talking a little bit too much for nothing much happening as... Oh, wait.
It looks like Moonlight's not too concerned. They probably know he's there, but Moonlight's not going to be able to get there in time. Still pathing in this direction.
There's going to be a fight.
There's a collapse coming through. Icelandic Hero might just get trapped here. Moonlight catches him. There's the axe that comes through, and Nightshade can walk around. Icelandic Hero stuck between a rock and a hard place. Actually uses the flash to try and get away, but flash followed up by I Am Nightshade. Chasing down the Elise. Moonlight's trying to get around as well to block off this escape, but there's just nowhere for you to go. Icelandic Hero giving over that first blood to the Kale.
Yeah, that's never what you want to see. Michigan State's bottom lane doesn't get involved at all. In fact, involved in a little skirmish of their own in the bottom lane. Shouldn't turn into too much. But not only do you give first blood over to the Kale, you give double buffs over to the Kale early game in a range versus melee matchup. And then as maybe like the small part of that fight, you literally escorted Moonlight to his next buff. So that's a pretty unfortunate invasion, to say the least. Is
one thing you could say is that there's no flash on that Gale anymore. So if you want to go for the gank, the cocoon or the Renekton can flash to set up that cocoon. But again, I mean, that's just looking for any advantage at all. This is definitely Michigan State University having a fantastic start to the game. Only using one summoner spell. They don't lose any CS mid lane for that either. And even in the 1v1 on top side, Sunlight's doing a great job.
Yeah, I mean, the early Ornn does quite a bit of damage, but keep in mind, it is the Shen. You do have the passive coming through. You will be finding some favorable trades from time to time. But even kind of looping back on basically the synopsis of the game so far, 3.5 minutes in, Michigan State are still on that clock. But that clock just got shorter. I mean, that's basically what all this has happened. The double buffs onto the mid lane, the extra gold. It's not there yet. Midnight, you know, we're still like at 11 p.m. We still got an hour left before the ball, but...
Nah, right now it's like 7 p.m. It's still early game. We're just having our nightcap.
I'm just imagining the doomsday clock now for Ohio State. It's going to be ticking closer and closer as it goes on.
We haven't had our bedtime story yet. We're just warming up.
Is the bedtime
Just
story when
warming up.
Kale becomes a champion? Like,
I think so. No, that's when you say, okay, well, the kids have gone to bed. Now we go out clubbing. That's what Michigan State's looking for in the late game. But here's that play early on. They get the cocoon combo, and easy peasy, Ohio Luigi gets the kill. We're actually on the bot side as Argentum Sky might get caught out here. The dredge line goes through, locking him down. Still has the flash and the kill available. Uses both, but Riverell wants it. One auto not going to be enough with the Grey Hells coming through. Now Dillerin looking for blood himself. Look at Moonlight on the flank right now. Icelandic Hero's low on mana, but might be able to keep Riverell alive. Moonlight's going for it. Icelandic Hero actually retreats. Cleveland Flash Sports trying to get the auto. They're going forward onto the Tom Kench. Take him down. Will Riverell fall as well?
Riverell.
2-for-0 right now. Riverell's not down. Finally falls as Moonlight is doing his absolute best to carry this fight. Icelandic Hero still low on the mana, but Cleveland will get the kill. OSU come out ahead.
yeah, that's a huge play for OSU. The entirety of the idea for this early game for Ohio State is to get as crazy as possible, and that's what happens there. Perfect execution on mid lane, literally exactly as you called out, and we're looking at this bottom lane fight. But this is just superior positioning from OSU. They know what their immediate objective is. They know they need to go in off the bat, and by the time that Moonlight shows up, there's no team to fight behind.
Yeah.
Sure, he gets the kill on the Riverall, but that's going to be a very happy trade. 3 for 1 at the end of the day, plus that kill in the mid lane. That's how you get back on the horse from Ohio.
Especially when you're the early game composition, you have to make plays when you have the tools to do so. You cannot let Michigan State University just free scale up. So reacting there to the flashless Kale, reacting to the over-aggressive bot lane, this is the OSU that we want to see. Now Riverell's got that first kill, has a BF sword advantage over Dillerin with just the pickaxe. So in terms of just stat checking, Riverell's looking very strong.
Yeah, Riverell's looking pretty good. I mean, it is Kaisa. It's Kaisa versus Jinx, so you're not expecting anyone to hard pop off in the early stages. Press the attack for Riverell is always the aggressive build you see on Kaisa. It gives you that little bit of extra damage when you get the passive stacks on, but it is just going to be about continuing to funnel the resources into the bottom side of the map. Slight CS discrepancy be damned. But now for Ohio, as you start to come back in, you can't let up at this point. You have to keep finding ways to put Michigan State on its back foot, because that's where MSU starts catching up. When you don't make that play, when you give them the advantage, and when they start taking the map back.
And so far, Michigan State is in control of at least the bottom half of the map. They're setting up their vision line, they're taking the scuttle, and they're getting out of lane more so than the Kaisa and the Nautilus. You talked about the CS advantage. That's because of the push coming in from Dillerin, and now we see Michigan State University looking to take this early dragon, but there could be a collapse. Look at the bot side, they're going in onto Dillerin, onto Argent Sky. The Shen ult comes down, Dillerin's got nowhere to go, and the kill goes over to Riverell. Cleveland still wants to get that kill onto the Tom Kench, but can't find it. Regardless, OSU come out at
And this is exactly what I was alluding to during the draft phase, that Michigan State could sometimes get a little bit antsy around these neutral objectives. There was zero priority for Michigan State to grab that dragon. You already have the Elise on the bottom side. Cyborg has the ultimate and TP available in the top lane. And it feels like Michigan State are just freaking out. They're like, okay, we're down at 7 minutes here. How do we win this game? Somebody needs to be that voice that's still looking like, guys, calm down. We're scaling. Everything's going to be fine. But
well, we know Michigan State to be a team with a very, very strong opinion of themselves. They even said in an interview earlier with Really Big Meme, the only team that they considered a threat to be Illinois. Well, Ohio State already putting on a strong showing right now. Maybe some disrespect coming in from MSU.
Disrespect, and I think a little bit maybe non-preparedness for this kind of composition. They really undervalued Ohio State's ability to do something in the early game. Maybe the classic, I think Icelandic Hero, that was the strategy of the early game. It's the, oh, we don't know how to jungle path. We don't know how to start this early game off. We're not a threat. And then
we don't know what we're
throwing
doing.
it out.
You can't know what
Exactly.
we're doing.
Well,
But
I mean,
maybe we do know what we're
that's
doing.
one view of it. I was
You
gonna
didn't think we knew what we were doing.
I was gonna go more the sandbagging route, the give enemies false hope and then just spring it on them at the end. But
Okay.
you know, either one I think is a valid opinion, a valid read of the situation. But speaking of reading the situation, despite the 3-kill advantage currently in Ohio State's favor, do keep in mind that it is still an even goal game.
Yeah, and this is where OSU wants to be right now. They want to use these advantages. Misplay by Sunlight on the top side, trying to fight Cyborg. The tanks slapping each other around, saying, we're participating in this
that
game
noodle
as well,
fight.
everybody. Just want to remind you, remind the spectators, remind the casters, we do exist. Cyborg still has a teleport, like you said before, so used the ultimate to get down last time, but now could be in some trouble. I like this, reading that the enemy jungler's topside, knowing he just cleared that ward, and just saying, okay, I'm just going to give up contest of this wave right now. Look at midside, isolating Akira. Ooh, misses the Cocoon. Nightshade has the flash available now, doesn't need to use it, nor the ultimate, but this is what the Croc can do against the Kayle.
Yeah, it's just domination. Important the Nightshade to hold on to the... Ooh, look at this bot lane.
Right, they use the ultimate onto Argentum Sky, but the Tahm Kench is just so tanky, is able to get away as both ultimates blown by OSU.
Yeah, but here comes the cavalry. Icelandic Hero's already here.
Flash over the wall instantly by Icelandic Hero. Gets the kill onto Argentum Sky, and Dilleren has flash available. Will he need to use it? Luigi walks by, can't get onto the Jinx, but a kill goes over to OSU yet again on the bottom half.
And this is perfect timing for this play, because not only is there very little that Moonlight can do on the other side, I mean, maybe look for a contestant into that topside jungle, but there's no dragon to be picked up, there's no herald to be punished, and in fact, that should actually be first tower for Ohio State here on the bottom side, with the only trade being the plates in the mid lane.
Yeah, MSU scratching their heads right now, thinking what went wrong in this early game. Dilleren, the rock that they've been playing around so far in this tournament, is really getting punished right now on this Jinx. And they picked the Tahm Kench into the Kai'Sa Nautilus. They were trying to grab a support that could keep Dilleren safe, keep this bot lane alive. So far, it's not working.
Yeah, and I don't think that there's anything inherently wrong with this bottom lane. I mean, the Tahm Kench is a little overly defensive for my taste, but I think it's really how they went ahead addressing the early game pressure. Maybe not enough time for that. It's Ohio Luigi.
Looks to go in for the Rift Herald. It is claimed by MSU, but they haven't picked it up yet. Now the fight's coming through. The Ornhorn to engage, but Nightshade in some trouble, uses the ultimate, keeping him alive. Icelandic Hero goes back in. Nightshade takes out Ohio Luigi. MSU are running away with the fight. Cyborg goes down as well. The Rift Herald will be picked up, and MSU win the skirmish.
Yeah, that's a good response from Michigan State. They understand that with Kai'Sa still on the bottom side of the map, their individual 3v3 and eventually even 3v4 is just so strong. They're fighting around Moonlight. They're giving him the ability to run this through, and that's an immediate Herald drop.
Yeah, and a teleport. They're going for this turret.
They're trying to give everything to Jinx right now. She's actually TP'd just to get these plates. That's gonna give her a good chunk of change here, as that is one of your late game carry. So good, quick decision making for Michigan State gives them so much back.
But Moonlight,
squad.
Moonlight took so much damage from that turret. Can they get anything more for this Icelandic Hero in some trouble? Oh, the taunt misses from Cyborg. Dilleren is able to get the kill, will go down for it. Riverall picks up that one, so a counterplay by OSU and some slight misplays from players throughout that entire series of events.
Yeah, we might have had a little bit of a fiesta under the tower. Looking at this fight, though, keep in mind how much fighting power is in this Ohio State squad. So much time is spent keeping Ohio Luigi. I don't think he got an auto attack down for about 10 seconds in that combat. And then when you have Olaf Ragnaroking, he's gonna be able to knock on down. No response comes out from the Ohio State squad. In Michigan State, these are those counter punches.
I am Nightshade in trouble. No ultimate available. Has the flash. Will he use it? Riverall goes forward. Flash used by Nightshade. Does get out. And important to note, OSU never got that first turret on the bot side earlier, so MSU were able to claim that first turret gold onto the Jinx before going down. Will be answered now, but
that's actually a really great thing here from Michigan, is that's how you beat the early aggression squad. You scare them away from doing their plays, because I guarantee you what just happened there on the bottom side was that Ohio State were scared because Herald was being taken to the top side. They pulled off, and then all of a sudden Michigan, they just got in that free little flurry of jabs for free, and now Ohio State have to spend time to retake control of this game, and it looks like it's going to start from the Dragon, the second Drake of the game.
They've lost the gold lead right now. It's 1,000 over to Michigan State University, but OSU, with this Dragon, will help them out. They're controlling the neutral objectives on the bottom half of the map very well. They get the turret, they have 2 Dragons, but when are they going to open things up? It's still the Riverhill story, just like it has been for the whole preseason so far. Now, when does Riverell get out of that lane and get around the map? I like that they send their lane swap immediately to mid, trying to get all that gold and that big power spike item elsewhere to make an impact.
Exactly. I mean, you already have the Storm Razors. You're looking to get onto that second, third item with Kai'Sa. For items, it's basically more the merrier. It's a little bit unfortunate for the Ohio State squad that they couldn't combo with like the Kayle, because that's kind of the go-to dive bomb. Like,
but they got the Shen.
They do have the Shen, so it's less and more, hey, Shen, what's happening? But
it's less like, I'm going to kill you all, and it's more like, I brought a buddy.
Right. But even when you have Riverall getting to that late game point, it is going to be about who throws the engage first, because a Kaisa that's just getting Horn ulted.
Speaking of engage, they might be looking for it here onto Argentum Sky, but some beautiful Jinx trap placements prevents OSU from actually getting in, but they might just take the fight regardless. Ragnarok has to be used defensively by Moonlight. Interesting decision making there, walking forward, but they do get the ultimate out of Cyborg.
Honestly, I think that's a win there for Michigan, because Ohio State just burnt a bunch of their playmaking tools, most notably the Shen Stand United, plus Cleveland with the ultimate. It is going to mean that they're going to lose a little bit here. Actually, I'd expect them to lose something under mid tower, but that doesn't even seem to be the case. But at this point in the game, anything you do for Michigan State that just buys time is a win. They are up in gold despite being down in kills. The only statistic that they're losing in right now, well, other than the kills, is the Dragons. That is something you can play around quite easily, and even when you're looking at the gold counter, Riverells is that pop-off point, but even Renekton's going to start falling behind pretty heavily.
But here's another fight going on. Argentum Sky is able to save his jungler yet again. Moonlight gets out safely, but OSU, they're in trouble. Flash forward by Sunlight gets a solo kill against Cyborg.
Got that flash for damage in the top lane, but
I think it was a Flash Sunfire cape tick that actually
I think that might have actually been it.
Pretty sure. Now another play, though, from OSU not to be outdone. Going on to Dillaran and Argentum Sky. Take down one. Can Dillaran get away? The answer is no. The Flash auto coming in from Cleveland seals the fate.
Yeah, that's unfortunately a 1 step forward, 2 steps backwards for Michigan State, but that's when you say at Ohio, it's just that constant playmaking. I was a little bit afraid, especially with Cyborg dying in the top lane, that they were going to be, all right, guys, let's take a step back. Let's get some more vision. Let's calm things down. But no, they just make it a bit crazier. Great roam out of Ohio Luigi. I know Zyrene was mentioning it early on that this mid lane has to be a lot more present on the map, but
Icelandic Hero could be in some trouble right now. Where's he going to go down? Right on a Moonlight and instantly popped. Michigan State University answer back immediately. OSU don't even get the mid turret.
All right, so Michigan State, it's 1 step forward, 2 steps back. Ohio State is 2 steps forwards, 3 steps backwards. Everyone's walking back.
No one understands how a race works.
Exactly.
I feel like it's, the lessons aren't being learned.
No, it's less of a race and more
You go
of
that
like,
way, everybody. Just keep going. You just go one direction. We'll see if they pick it up here. But 2 turrets now over to the side of Michigan State University. They were first to that mid play. Now they get the top, all off of Sunlight's solo performance for the most part. Early on, there were a few ganks, but he gets the solo kill.
Yeah.
Solo takes that top turret. That's impressive play from the Orange.
No, it's exactly what you want to see, because not only do you have that early game aggression, Cyborg is in a lane that he can look to bully just a bit, but the lack of pressure from Icelandic Hero, plus the fact that Moonlight's been the true homie in the top lane, gets the Olaf in time and time again, means that you have this now snowballing matchup. Cyborg's not really going to be able to catch up anytime soon. And then you have the Ornn buff. You have those late game items that are going to be coming through. You're going to be seeing them picked up on a Nightshade. Dillaran probably going to grab the Molten Edge as well.
Well, I mean, once Dillaran gets an item completed.
Okay, there's still some time.
There's a little bit
before it gets around.
But it's important to note that Dillaran has
Right.
not yet completed a single item, whereas Riverall has one completed. Now the play onto Argentum Sky yet again, but that's the Tom Kench. That's the tanky support, and the Cocoon comes in a little late from Icelandic Hero. Cleveland will fall to Dillaran. Now the re-engage. Flash still lands. Riverell will go down the shutdown over to Moonlight.
And the Spartans are just pushing absolutely through here. The Ohio State University is going to be put into the ground.
GG. Oh boy, might be caught out here. There's the ultimate coming in from Tom Kench. They only have a turret to defend 2 members against 5, but it looks like MSU do not want it.
No, actually, also a little bit disappointed because Cyborg in the top lane decides to roam he's dead. There's no way this man survives this.
No Ornn ultimate. He has the taunt. I think he gets out. Yeah.
Okay, so maybe he does spread play. But the point I was trying to get onto, actually, we're going to throw it back to this fight, is Ohio State, they're on the front foot, but it's still just no setup for this play. There is not that rotation. If Ohio Luigi is here, maybe this ends up definitely being able to pressure out Dillaran, but once you have that frontward aggression, there is nothing to stop Michigan State from just absolutely devastating the backline.
Oh, and while we are in the replay, Icelandic Hero even falls down, so MSU can claim their first dragon of the game. This is feeling like they are in the driver's seat from this point on. They have the late game scaling composition, and we're getting towards that point now. Yes, Dillaran hasn't finished an item yet, but when they're at the point where they can take these neutral objectives away from OSU, you know that OSU's in trouble.
Yeah, and we were talking before about the burden of execution. Well, especially now, by the way, 1 item on Dillaran. It's completed, ladies and gentlemen. It's got the Infinity Edge, but either way, the burden of execution means that you have to be playmaking constantly, because if you give a team like Michigan State any time to set up a defense, they will find it. They've been finding in the mid lane. And I even wanted to say, I was talking before about Cyborg, I was a little bit disappointed, but the way you fight against that aggression is make sure that you are finding things on the other sides of the map. When that fight was happening in bottom lane where Ohio State was losing, instead of taking like the top tower, punishing and sling on the map, Cyborg just walks on down, doesn't get any CS, doesn't get a tower anywhere. And when you start having Michigan State not only winning plays, but winning plays for nothing in response, that is when Ohio State are firmly in the dirt.
And Ohio State University, we said it at the beginning of the game, they need to be the ones that win early on. They're now sitting 4,000 gold behind. That exploded very quickly, but they still have Riverell to fall back on. He's the member that they've been playing around the most. 4-2-4 on the Kaisa. Might catch out Argentum. Sky jumps very far forward. The Shenhol's coming through, but it's not enough. Moonlight gets another kill as OSU overeager yet again, and it might cost them dearly. Icelandic hero gets slowed. Moonlight's running forward. This should be another kill to MSU. Actually jumps over to the Raptors. Flash away. Will be able to get out safely, but has to use everything. And guess what's about to spawn?
Yeah, that's going to be easy, Baron. And I think that you can almost walk through the thought process out of that Ohio State squad. Riverell is like, okay, guys, we're falling behind. Get on my back. I'm going to try to carry you on it, and then ult in straight into a Kale. Who's
quite literally, he was trying to get Cyborg onto his back. Just didn't have enough time. But here's Engage coming in from OSU. Nightshade's over the wall, but now it's a 4v4. Maybe OSU can take this one. They are able to clean up one member, but it's just the support. Can they get anything more? The answer is going to be no. MSU clean up the fight. They still have 4 up, and this Baron is theirs.
Ohio State, it's desperation. Riverell, I don't think the 1v5 is going to, 1v4 rather, is going to work out too well, but
probably not. No ult, no flash. This would be
he's going
bold. He's going for it, trying to get Diller in. But the kill ult comes through. It's an ace. That's a Baron. And this is a scary MSU right now.
Yeah, Ohio State, they don't really have the damage risk. They're going in immediately, but when you're not able to actually take off Dillaran, great job from Argentum Sky to get him out of there. But once that Jinx survives, there's no hope. It is all gone. Nightshade's going to knock you on down. Unfortunately, it is just a bit of mis-execution, and even more so, great play out of the MSU side, keeping their ADC alive on that backline, and as long as that's still pumping out damage, you still win these fights.
And while Dillaran was the member they engaged on, they have a Tahm Kench and a Gale ultimate to keep him alive, but the Gale is the big DPS threat at this point in the game. 2 items completed, 4, 2, and 8 on this champion, just popping off with the second ultimate as well. So,
and I mentioned before that like I'm not really taken aback by any of these Kales so far in this tournament, just like how in the Out Worlds there's like the Kale list, who's allowed to play it. It's one person list, the Shy, that's it. I have to say so far that list for me.
You don't get to Naguri? Oh, okay. Icelandic here, caught out again.
Yeah, just don't even pay attention. It's just, it happens at this point. It's a fact of nature, but I do have to say I think that Nightshade may be working his way onto the list for me, because you know, he did get put down in the early game. He's been playing it pretty well mid to late, but
yeah,
Michigan State
team fights have been great from MSU here past the 15-minute mark. And I also want to highlight Moonlight here. We've been talking about the carries, Dillaran and Nightshade, but what about the player that got them there? The true carry, 8-1 and 8 on Olaf. Absolutely insane.
And what makes this even more impressive is that Moonlight isn't a starter. That is RBM's position. Really Big Meme, I don't think we hit on it too much during the pregame, but Really Big Meme is not in this match because he's in Los Angeles currently, but
oh, here's another fight going on. Cyborg tries to be that front line, tries to buy time for the team to clean up. Riverell goes forward. Riverell's onto the backside, trying to DPS, but MSU have too big of health bars. Riverell's not enough to take them down. They'll claim Icelandic Hero's life to close out the ace. A triple kill to the substitute jungler. 11, 1, and 10. And that might just be game.
Yeah, that was a great effort from Riverell, especially diving into the backline, gets the Jinx, but there's also a kill back there who is also killing you. In Michigan State, they just knew exactly when to pounce. Ohio State was looking great in the early game. They had the early plays, they had the early movements, and in fact, this game won't be ending just yet, but
yeah, MSU back off.
Yeah, Ohio State was in control of the early stages, but I think it was always those issues that have constantly plagued Ohio State in the past. It's the jungler being caught out, support sometimes being caught out, that just gives the enemy a bit too much. And in this fight, just watch the backline here. Dillaran gets jumped on immediately, is saved, of course, by Argentum Sky, and then send the chariots. It's Riverell on the backline, but doesn't have enough to take out Nightshade without dying. And when there's no Riverell, there's no more team to fight around.
Yeah, and again, the target selection from OSU was take down Dillaran, then worry about Nightshade, but there's still a full health Olaf hammering you away that entire time with 3 items completed.
Anyone who's played set 2 of TFT should know the terror that is Olaf just with items. He doesn't stop.
I haven't actually built a composition with Olaf yet. I haven't tried it.
Well, they nerfed him, so he can't do it anymore.
Ah, okay. I missed
No, Rage Blade Olaf would actually get to 4.7 attack speed, and it's disgusting. But back in this game, back in League of Legends Summoner's Rift Edition, Classic Edition as it may be.
the classic.
Yeah. I mean, there's so many tools now for Michigan State to just keep taking these fights, keep finding the backline. And actually, Moonlight, one of the biggest fall-offs of Olaf in the later game is that he just dies. That he just goes down, especially if you buy damage.
But return, that's a Guardian Angel.
Not only is it Guardian Angel, but that's a Guardian Angel in the mid lane, as you have Nightshade, who's the
See what you
Kale.
did there.
Exact.
That was some lore.
Boom.
That was some lore reference.
She's an angel, by the
I
way.
like it.
By the way.
No Morgana in this game, though. But we did see MSU claim the dragon
Right.
during that replay before. MSU just got to put the final nails in the coffin at this point. Super minions pushing in the bot side. We see Luigi as the member to answer from OSU. Maybe there's a play here, but look at that tankiness of Moonlight. Uses the Ragnarok, but here comes reinforcements. Tom Kench portals in. Cleveland's in some trouble trying to be that front line. They do take down Argentum Sky, but it's a trade. Support for support. Riverell looking for Dillaran. Can he take him down? The answer is no. MSU are just too far ahead right now. Stat checking OSU every which way with his 10K gold lead. Is this going to be the ace? It is. Nightshade will pick it up, and MSU just got to march these minions in.
Yeah, this is the difference between these two squads. Ohio State, when they see the opportunity, they're kind of hesitant to it. They walk forward like, do we want this fight? Maybe, maybe not. And by the time they decide, it's kind of over. Michigan State, it's see somebody, kill, kill, blood, blood, fight, fight. It's the classic, you know, like guys she tells you not to worry about versus you. That's Michigan State right now. They're absolutely dominating, and with this, they should firmly take game 1.
Yeah, the Nexus turret falls. The Nexus soon to follow. And they do claim Nightshade as a consolation prize, but MSU turn their attention onto the base and will take game number 1. OSU down 0-1 in the series. They've taken a game in every match they've played. We'll see if Michigan State can end that spree here.
Yeah, I'm not really sold on it at this point, because I think that was the best early game that you could really, well, maybe not the best, but that was probably the best performance in the early game that I could have expected out of Ohio State versus Michigan State. I mean, you had the early mid plays, you had early priority, but the things that have been plaguing Ohio State each and every series, it happens again. It is jungler getting caught out, it is support getting caught out. And I think you almost have to say for Ohio State that you can't rely on the burden of early game execution, because they've just been crumpling under that pressure every time.
And you mentioned also some of the decision making, some of the rotations coming in from Cyborg, roaming around the map when they could be making cross map plays, or you're the Shen, so you can try and join on those
You got
plays.
the R key.
You got the R. You can press that ability, but they had a couple early game plays that worked for OSU at Michigan State University. They absorbed those. They fought back in the early game enough without being too overeager, and they just let the gold lead amass for themselves and ran away with it.
Michigan State for me are just such more a complete team. Not only there was a lot of errors in the early game. There was a lot of points that Ohio State got that I don't really think were warranted. Michigan State could be playing a little bit more offensively. Some of it may be chalked off to underestimating the team. Some of it may be chalked off to a little bit too much faith after the first blood, of course, going on to Kale. But it really showed that once Michigan State got behind, they had the confidence. They didn't break under the pressure. They just kept looking for their plays. They eventually found it up towards top Herald, and once they found one thing, they found everything in that game.
Herald, the first 2 turrets rather, kill after kill after kill, but one crucial play around the Baron felt like it's what sealed the fate. So we're going to send it over to Zyrene to help break down this fight.
Thank you very much, gentlemen. Yep, we're going to look at that Baron play, because when we came into today, we were talking about the AD carries. We highlighted them, Dillaran, Riverell. This is a fight that actually just illustrates perfectly not just the AD carry play, but how the team plays around them. So first off, you're going to notice Riverell's dead. So out of the way, completely different. Let's go watch how Dillaran survives, because what happens here is they close in from multiple angles. Dillaran, this poor little Jinx in the middle, ulti on him, flash, Renekton and W, but then right there, snatched up by the Tahm Kench, the Shen taunt comes across, and it's just perfectly timed where he actually is able to get away. Flash still eats Titanic Hydra, and he gets away with just a sliver of HP left.
So the way that the team played around him and stopped him from dying is the big difference there, because Riverell went straight in. He went away from his backup. You have to be able to play around your team so that they can play around you. And I think that was the night and day difference between the two AD carries and why one of them was dead and why one of them lived with just a sliver of HP left.
That fight itself was fun to watch. Just how much was burnt onto Dilleren right off the bat. It still survived.
And I think that Irene wrapped it up pretty concisely there. It was really the presidential protection squad coming out of Michigan State. You had everything. You had, the support. You had like the armored car that was Tom Kench. You had you had like the stand-in dummy that was Kale.
That's like
Jinx.
That's like the bodyguard that will jump in front of the bullet for you. Or maybe that's more.
He's the car that jumps in front of you. But you had that. You had too many targets to actually lock down. And once Michigan State were able to come together, actually utilize all these things together, that's when the game really broke out from Michigan, when there weren't enough answers for the questions that Michigan State were putting up.
And Ohio State University's composition, Riverell was the DPS. He was the one trying to blow up those members. You had 3 members to worry about. It was Dilleren, it was Nightshade, and it was also Moonlight in the jungle. I mean, that Olaf was popping off, had such higher stats than anyone else, just based on the gold income, based on the item build. It felt like OSU, they gave it their best shot during those team fights, but so hard to navigate.
Yeah, they definitely did. And I think that actually I really want to highlight Moonlight as a player as well. We mentioned that he was subbing in for RBM, isn't the starting jungler, but had a good performance. Early game, I think, left a little bit to be desired, especially because I think that was really a reason why Ohio State were able to find some early game advantages with where RBM was pathing on the map. But once mid-game came around, once late game came around, the execution was on point. Macro sense, maybe not as much, but micro, piece de resistance.
All right, well, we'll see if OSU can bring it back again. They've taken a game in every match that they've played, so I'm not counting them out quite yet, but MSU definitely a powerhouse. We're going to send it over to a break, but be right back with more League of Legends action. See if MSU can take the sweep, or if Ohio will take one game. Welcome back, everybody, as we are heading in to Game 2 of the 2019 BTN Preseason Invitational Week 3. We find ourselves with Michigan State University up 0-1 in the series against The Ohio State University with a late game composition. Things were going all right for OSU in the early game, but we reached a point where MSU just ran away with it.
Yeah, I mean, the early game was all about the combination. It was Elise, it was Renekton. It's what you see. It's the bread and butter of how to play an early comp. But the problem is that when you start dying in the middle of the game, when you start just giving away advantages to the late game scaling composition, they're going to scale. And that's exactly what happened there at the end.
And it was OSU playing the way we've seen OSU play, trying to funnel resources into Riverell. And Zyrene, you had some criticism of this, saying play around Luigi more, play around the mid lane, open up the draft and the composition. So what's the solution here for OSU?
I mean, okay, so even if you put all your resources in Riverell, he literally airdropped them into enemy territory. He just went straight to the back line. So no matter how fed he was, that was never going to be a play that worked out for him. So I'm sitting there going, you got to have a better escort on your resources. What are you doing? I can't believe that play actually happened there. He got way too ahead of himself. So I'm sitting here going, you need him to calm down. You were talking about how they played too far forward in lane. That was too far forward in the mid game. And that composition is supposed to be something that dominates early game, gets the Dragons, pushes that lead, and they kept having these mistakes, which you cannot have in those types of compositions. You're supposed to have a stranglehold on the game.
And again, they had the Shen. It felt like the plan was there for those dive bomb types of plays. But the problem is there's so many DPS threats on the side of MSU that it didn't matter that he was able to get onto one. There were always backup options for MSU to play around.
The one-for-one trade doesn't work when there are two carries you have to worry about on the enemy team. I think that was like the synopsis of what was going wrong during those fights. It was almost as if Riverell thought that the Kayle was on his side of the map. It was like, yeah, I have an ultimate, and I'm just going to drop damage on the enemy team. Oh, wait. I'm dead.
Wait, why is that on the
like,
Jinx?
guys, I think I have
wait a minute.
Exactly, yeah.
There's a bug. There's a client bug right now.
But that really was it. And I think that you have to either find Riverell a safer position. Like, I think the one play that stuck out the most in my mind when you think about Riverell diving in was when he saw Olaf, jumps into the backline, and then the rest of the team's like, oh, hey, it's a free ADC. We can lock this down.
And Olaf with GA as well, so target selection, something to look at from the side of OSU. I want to bring it back over to Michigan State University, though, because they ran away with it post 15 minutes. It felt like there was never a moment where they were letting up the pressure. But to get to that point, there was a crucial play that happened early on that I want to bring back our attention to. When Moonlight was able to track the early pathing of the jungle, we thought it was going to be some vertical jungling, but the whole team communicated, and that is what we expect to see from a roster like MSU with 4 returning members. We expect them to have this type of synergy and make these kinds of plays that help out a late game composition survive the early game.
Yeah, and that was just kind of that match preparedness after the draft. Normally when you go for a invasion, you're always looking what's on the other side of the map. So if you have a shoving bottom lane or a bottom lane that arrives first, you're going to have priority on that side, and then you turn any potential invade into a death trap. And that's exactly what happened to Michigan. They knew they had the Jinx arrive in the lane first. They knew that Elise was probably going to go for the invade, and they just set up all the dominoes to fall.
Yeah, honestly, if I'm the Elise in that situation, I'm flaming my bottom lane.
Yeah.
Because they got level 2 first. They have a Kai'Sa and a Nautilus versus, I believe it was Jinx and Tom Kench.
Yeah.
So the Nautilus will help you shove if you set up for it. Same with the Kai'Sa. So you should be shoving and going to Tri-Bush, or at least having your support go Tri-Bush, because the Tom Kench and the Jinx aren't going to be able to lock down the Kai'Sa that early. So I feel like they should have pushed up, got that level 2 first like they did, and then exerted their pressure on the bottom lane and given the Elise at least some escape route of some kind. So I feel like that was a big kind of misstep there.
Yeah, and it's not like you're even expecting like an early Olaf gank coming back, because you know he's topside, and
but he was opportunistic. He saw that they weren't moving.
It was perfect.
It was all of MSU coming together for that. We'll see if they can keep that kind of synergy as we prepare for game number 2. But before we send it over, I want to give a special thank you to our partners in AnyKey. If you haven't yet, make sure you go sign the GLHF pledge. I have, Returned has, Zyrene has. Make sure that you help fight online toxicity in gaming. And to hear a little bit more about it, let's send it over.
Hi, my name is D1 Ala Mengret.
Hi, my name is Suli.
My handle is Snicks.
My name is Jordan Gilbert, aka Nothing.
My name is Bill Carter. My handle is Jump.
My name is Christopher Michaels, better known as Monte Cristo.
Hey guys, I'm Michelle Morrow, and I'm on-camera talent for both esports and the world of entertainment.
I think it's important that people are made aware that their behavior is not acceptable if you're going to throw out bigoted terms or target somebody for that kind of harassment.
So dealing with toxicity, even just on a normal day-to-day basis, when I game, I just like to be sort of an anonymous gamer, and to this day, I am scared to use my mic.
I think that anytime you can sit someone down that has a negative mindset or has a sense of toxicity, think about who you're affecting.
If I had the ability to confront a troll face-to-face, they would not be the keyboard warrior that they are inside of the game.
The GLHF pledge is super important. Anything that's encouraging people to promote positivity, to promote understanding, to promote sympathy.
It's cool to see that people are going above and beyond to be a voice for those from a community that may not be as well represented in gaming. You do matter.
GLHF.
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 Good luck. Have fun.
GLHF indeed. Thank you so much. Everyone, go sign that pledge. Make sure that you help fight toxicity online. But we got some more League of Legends action ahead of us here. And we heard it earlier in the interview with Michigan State University's mid laner Nightshade. They promised that in Game 2, they would have a wacky draft, or at least they wanted to try something fun. So I got to hear some early predictions. It was Yordles last week. What are we going to see from MSU this time?
Oh, God, I don't know. Like, I feel like they're just going to play a composition where the enemy team will feed faster than Grubhub.
That's a pretty good. I don't know. Grubhub feeds pretty well. They get you there fast. But
I see what you did
20
there.
minutes or less.
I've seen the chat predictions though. I saw the 5 mages shout out. I don't know if that's anyone to do with the actual compositions coming through from Michigan.
Well, what are the 5
State.
mages? What would that be? It's Syndra, LeBlanc. I don't even remember. I'm behind on TFT.
Oh, you're talking about TFT mages.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, Yordles isn't even a TFT comp anymore, so I'm not sure if they're limiting themselves there. But I mean, you have options. I mean, you have the Glacials. You have. I have no idea, by the way, what the other ones of those, what the other mages are. There's like, I think Vigor's in there now. Vigor's been in there. Syndra's there. You've got the Vladimir as
They'll
well.
piece it together.
Yeah.
I'm sure they will, but we're already heading into draft here.
We'll
so
see.
We'll find out. We'll find out what MSU decides to send our way. I'm just hoping it's entertaining either way, but they still need to respect OSU, taking a game off of every single opponent that they've had, even though they haven't gotten the match victory, and they had some control over that early game. So if you're MSU, I think you can meme a little bit, but you need to still give respect where respect is due.
Yeah, I think that you're really looking to shore up the early game here from Michigan State. I mean, they had a great level 1. We were talking about that invasion was pretty well planned out and not responded to by Ohio. I think you can consistently have those kind of advantages, but respecting where you are on the early side of the jungle, I think there was so much time that Moonlight stepping in for really big meme was just hovering in the bot side and lost 3v3. So I think you're looking at other ways to spread the map if you're Michigan State. Ohio State not dying in the mid game when you have a hard advantage, that's got to be the advantage. What you pick for that, I don't know if there's anything that really solves that outright, but I think maybe a little bit more scaling towards the late game. Don't give yourself the burden of execution. It might be a step in the right direction.
Well, what OSU seems to be afraid of is that Olaf yet again. Absolutely a terror in that game 1, and also a berserker. So could fit into a TFT comp if Michigan State University is going for something like that. Even taking out the Kale, 2 of the big problems in that last game that they are trying to deal with in the draft. This leaves other picks open for MSU. Hovering the Elise, I would not mind this pickup for now. Really big meme on the starting roster.
Yeah, if that's going over to Moonlight, I'd be kind of disappointed because I don't think that really fits any of the TFT compositions unless you're going like all junglers maybe or all transform. Shapeshifters is still on the board.
Shapeshifters. Okay.
That's like the Gnar, the Jace, all that's still up and available.
I'm telling you guys, they're going to play serious. They're going to try to get out of here in 20 minutes so
Yeah.
that they can go eat.
Okay.
I think that's
a different style of comp, but
It's the weekend, man. You got to take care of
places
business.
to eat, things
You got
to see.
smack down Ohio.
Yeah,
Otherwise,
grub up
go
the
get some
live.
grub.
Exactly. Certainly so. And
do you think they have a Grubhub partnership as well?
I hope
I'm starting to.
If they
I'm starting
don't,
to consider.
They do have a discount code.
They
have
do
that thing.
have that discount code. We'll see what they get for the rest of their draft. OSU, we saw the Zai Rakan not prioritized at all in game number 1. Not banned, not picked. The Zai is locked in for OSU, which signals they could be looking for it here.
Oh, Dillaran. So yeah, we were towards the bottom lane. One of the biggest things with Zai is that she did get nerfed in 9.22. The reduction of the attack speed on the W does hurt her somewhat, as it was almost acting as kind of that free attack speed item in lane. But still, with something like their Arcana can lock down pretty well, plus now an orange, so the engage threat is there. But Michigan State, Dillaran is one champion. One main champion. It is Draven. And you've just given Draven to Dillaran while Michigan State's in the lead. That's already... Okay, this is just hard early game. It's just smash, smash, smash.
The more I'm seeing this, the more I think Zyrene might have been accurate with the prediction here. All early game focus from MSU. They're not even caring about scaling. They say, we want to dominate and we want to destroy. The Draven very strong against the Rakan. When the Rakan tries to go in, you throw out those blades, knock him away. You have your own disengage, and there's still some great options like Leona on the table. Very aggressive supports you could pair with that Draven.
Yep, 100% I would pick Leona here. I mean, Nautilus is still on the table, so they probably have to ban both those out on Ohio State's side. Yeah. The Morgana is one that they're going to actually put up there, so, oh, okay. I feel like the Leona is probably going to come out here if they don't ban it. But we're talking about this composition that's mega early game focused here and from Michigan State side. But the thing that I'm looking at in particular is what they're going to pick up here for their mid lane or potentially top lane. Mordekaiser can kind of do both, but I feel like he's going to go top. What their mid lane is going to be, because I thought they were going to pick Syndra actually, and they just banned that away. So now I'm even more curious because I don't feel like an Orianna fits his comp. They already banned Kiana and didn't first pick it. So I'm just thinking, like, what do they have in mind for this composition?
It's going to be a blind pick because, again, OSU, if they lock in this jungler, they're holding that for Luigi, which makes me think that they want to have that advantageous matchup, maybe play around it. But they did the same thing last game, and we didn't see that come to fruition. So we'll see what MSU decides to send into that solo lane. Mordekaiser, I've heard rumblings of in the jungle, in the top lane, in the mid lane. They already have the Elise, so they have to choose what they want to send into that Ornn. Will it be the Mordekaiser for the 1v1 or something else for the team?
I would expect it to be the Mordekaiser, just kind of off the rim, just kind of seeing exactly what Nightshade's been playing. The Orianna and Diana are kind of the next two go-to pickups here for Nightshade. No, it is going to be the Mord, so completely wrong. This is just so much, not only, well, physical damage, of course, away from Mordekaiser. Well, physical damage, but then there's a Mordekaiser at least, so maybe not quite.
And there's the Nautilus.
This is why I was sitting there going, I'm really curious because they banned the Syndra away, and I was like, okay, so this feels like they're going to play the Mordekaiser mid, and then they pick the Darius top lane, so this is just smash every single lane as hard as possible. Elise can go almost anywhere that she wants. You now have Darius into Ornn. Disgusting matchup, and now you have Mordekaiser into Twisted Fate. If Twisted Fate gets hit by Mordekaiser's pullback, like, he's just going to die.
And what are you going to do if you're ulted into the Netherrealm from Mordekaiser? Suddenly, you're this 1v1. You can't do anything about that.
No, you get absolutely taken down, and then you're talking about these lanes already being scary, but then add an Elise in there. The Elise is just going to be able to augment in each of these lanes, turn them from kill lanes into just, like, super kill lanes. But then
what happens if the Twisted Fate is ulting away and you ulti him? I'm pretty sure he just snaps to the side.
Yeah, I assume he would be able to
snaps
leave
to
the edge. I think a similar thing happens with Camille Hextech Ultimatum as well. So my assumption is that would be the same. That would be interesting, though. What if you're just stuck elsewhere? Hey, maybe that's one of those Mordekaiser bugs we keep hearing about. Could have a remake in the works. But the composition from MSU is so clear. OSU, though, what does it feel like they're trying to do with this particular composition? They got the TF in the mid lane with that ult that can roam around the Ornn for engage. What's their game plan here?
I think it's just engage and try to catch Michigan State off guard. I think they try to capitalize on some of the early game success that they had last time, but this time you don't just auto-win some of those 3v3 situations. But when you have the ultimate available from Twisted Fate, when you have the engage that Desire Khan brings, it is just ruthless aggression. Try to keep Michigan State off kilter, but we saw that in game one. But it doesn't always follow through. So this time, they got to be clean. You can't give away kills in the mid-game. You got to just keep running through.
It's got to be the Rakan taking advantage of the low mobility on MSU's side. Like, that's the only way that they really win this. They got to take advantage of the Darius, the Draven, and the Mord not having anything to get away. Because otherwise, they're not winning the top side of the map in Ornn Darius. They aren't really going to win that mid lane too much. And they have to use Ohio Luigi to pivot to the sides with the Twisted Fate. So the thing I talked about in game one, they really have to do here in game two.
All right, we'll see if they can pull it off. But first, we have to say who we think is going to take the victory here. MSU, 1-0 up in the series right now. They won the early game into the mid game with a late game scaling composition. I think it's hard to vote against them, so I'm giving it to MSU looking at their draft this time around.
Yeah, I might get a little bit hyphy last game going for Ohio State. I think they had everything going from the world. This game, I'm not seeing as many advantages. I still think Michigan State's a better team. I think this one's an MSU, and I think this one's a pretty quick MSU.
Yeah. In my notebook, I always circle the winning team and then write down the score. I've already done it for MSU.
Yeah.
I feel like they already win this one in my mind.
Wow.
The only way this goes wrong for them is if that Rakan and Zaya really get out of control and the Draven just flubs the early game.
That is a bold statement. Oh, you already circled it. Can I see that? Can we
It's
confirm
confirmed.
that?
Yeah.
Okay, it is circled. Look at that. Well done, Zyrene. We'll see if
I would show the camera, but they can't read my chicken scratch anyways.
Yeah. Plus, I mean, there's some secret stuff on there. Of course, the actual
script for
caster
now.
chat,
Yeah.
Grubhub chat down. We actually know what the vote is. That's the secret. But we're all ready to head into game number 2 to see if MSU can take the series 2-0 or if OSU will be able to clap back here with this game 2. It's going to be scary looking at the early game composition from MSU. You have to be patient and know when the right time to go in is for Ohio State University.
Yeah, because they have tools that can't be ignored. Of course, you have the Zyra Khan we've already been saying. You have Predator on the Gragas. You have different ways to finding these fights, but you're right. It is about finding the right fight, because if you pick an even number fight into a Mordekaiser, tap ulti gone. Into the Draven, he has axes, damage gets dealt, and then top lane Sunlight as well. All these lanes for Michigan State, especially the solo lanes, are built to withstand these odd number fights.
And looking at Michigan State University's build here, I just want to highlight something real quick. Returned. That's 3 rejuve beads on Sunlight.
We got the Garen cosplay.
I've seen this built on Garen. What is this meant to do on the Darius?
It is meant to kill, because not only this is meant to just sustain lane, because versus the Ornn, you do have to be somewhat mindful of the W damage, of the brittle damage, and of the Q damage coming through. But also note what the summoner spell allocation is here. Sunlight's got Ghost. That is a kill lane. The idea here is that Sunlight stays healthy enough, and then when Elise is even on the right side of the map, you Ghost in. There aren't that many tools to get away from Cyborg. Like, it's W to slow. When Cyborg dashes away, you just pull him right back, and you just turn this into an absolute kill fest.
All right, well, we'll see how often Moonlight wants to go to that top half of the map. Started on the bot side, pathing up there already. And we're not seeing as much jungle shenanigans as we did in that game number 1. I think OSU is pretty happy about that. Definitely caught them by surprise last time around. So Moonlight subbing in here for a really big meme. Really impressing me. Sometimes subs come in and you think, okay, they didn't necessarily carry, but they performed adequately for their team. No, last game Moonlight was absolutely the reason that they had that crazy advantage in the early game.
Yeah, I'd definitely say so. And it's really great to see not only a substitute, but also a role swap coming from support up to jungle. It's really, it gives confidence, is what I'm trying to say, for Michigan State. Is, you're already feeling good about the team. You lose really big meme, who's been probably one of the main carry forces, and you still execute. That has to be a huge confidence booster going up against potentially what are some of the more intense competition elements. Like next week, you got Michigan versus Michigan State.
Yeah, and think about it. Really Big Meme's the one that came in and had all that smack talk for Illinois, and then just subs out for this weekend. But Cyborg's in trouble in the 1v1 against Sunlight. The Darius hits that level 2 early on and is able to bully away that Ornn.
Yeah, and so that's going to be devastating.
Oh, no. Luigi's in trouble as well. Flash is available. Is pulled back by Nightshade, but here comes his jungler. Joe's right into the cocoon. Can they turn this around, though? The DPS is not there for MSU right now, but they can turn onto Icelandic Hero, who is in trouble. Nightshade has the flash, but not going to go for it. OSU, get out.
Yeah, good pathing from Icelandic Hero just to be in the right place at the right time, but once you repel that initial gank, you have to be mindful. The DPS coming out from the just giant zone of control that is Mordekaiser is going to be hurting eventually, but, denying away some of these early game plays does favor Ohio State so far, but only as much as they're able to turn it
flash in immediately onto Icelandic Hero. Nails the flash into the wall, and first blood to Dillaran. Ooh, what a play by MSU. The confidence from Argentum Sky.
Yeah, and that's never what you want to see. That is an absolute soul shatterer. Now, without this trusty jungler, Ohio Luigi.
Yeah, he doesn't have his flash either. Moonlight goes up. The cocoon goes very wide, and they don't land it onto this TF, who gets out safe.
Yeah, it's a good movement, and it gets the flash away from Ohio Luigi on the last play, but I am curious where that cocoon was going, because it went through the wall. So unless you thought that Twist Fate was going to inhabit the wall, it's not going to land, but
who knows?
I think that's nitpicking at this point. The 1.2K lead kind of speaks for itself on the Michigan side.
He had the settings on the mouse off a little bit. He was like, it's too high. But now another play onto Nightshade. Flash available for The Mordecais are not going to have to use it yet, but constant action here in the mid lane. These junglers are looking to play around the mid side of the map here, but so far Nightshade is winning in the CS department and is probably coming out ahead here.
Able to keep pretty well control. I think that's exactly what you're looking at in this match, but there's never really going to be a time where Ohio Luigi can go toe-to-toe with the Mordekaiser. It is all about just dodging away from the claw and then getting some procs in of you know, certain things, especially like that Kleptomancy. But it's more so, can we take the focus off of mid lane from Ohio? It's using the ultimate to get around the map, upset some of these already kind of, you know, disadvantageous side lanes. But with Michigan State, what they're doing is they're just forcing onto that mid lane, making Ohio State play that mid game, and the longer that goes on for OSU, the less that Michigan State really has to worry about.
Yeah, and Sunlight's doing just fine on the top side with a sizable CS advantage there. There's really no worry of Dillarin and Argentum Sky going down in a 2v2 to Riverwell and Cleveland at this state in the game. Right. Unless they just decide to fight each other for whatever reason. But I mean, there's a BF sword on that Draven, definitely feeling good in the 2v2 matchup. So you're right, Returned. The play is mid-side for MSU right now, or at least in the first few minutes of the game. We'll see if Moonlight wants to make some plays elsewhere around the map. They could look to play around bot side.
Yeah, bottom lane up here. Damage potential for Michigan State, but with Argentum Sky going wide.
But Icelandic Hero actually tries to engage onto Moonlight. There's a flash engage onto Dillarin, but it goes a little too far. Teleport comes through. Can they lock down the Draven? The teleport canceled on the top half, and Dillarin gets out safely. Has to use the heal, but no kills.
How does Dillarin get out of that at the end of the day? Ohio Luigi locked in the red.
The ultimate. Here's Nightshade going forward, still has the flash. This is what he's been saving it for, but the gold card from Luigi barely saves him. Nightshade still looking for it, still chasing down, but not gonna find the TF. His top side. There's the ghost coming in from Sunlight, flashes forward, takes him down. The flash from Cyborg keeps him alive for a little bit longer, but Sunlight will take the kill.
We're just losing our minds here, and Cyborg elects to walk back under tower for no reason whatsoever. Just goes down almost instantaneously to Sunlight on that play, but so much happens. We had that bot lane fight. Dillarin getting out was huge, but then Michigan State, they're controlling the fights enough that they're not losing anything, and then top lane just starts picking right back up.
Some crazy plays early on here in this very, very important matchup for OSU. Again, if they lose this game, it's over, but we got some more action elsewhere around the tournament. So let's send it over to Zyrene with an update on University of Michigan versus Penn State.
University of Michigan versus Penn State just ended a moment ago with University of Michigan taking the 1-0 start. And once again, it was off the back of ShamWow in the late game. They had a late game scaling composition with a Tristana, with that Vladimir in the top lane. This has kind of been the go-to for them, where they are almost guaranteed these victories if they get to that late part of the game. You can see at the top, the Dragons weren't favoring them. They were favoring Penn State. And even then, the gold was rather close up until a few of the final fights that they were having. And so once again, we're looking at University of Michigan coming into this next match with a lot of momentum.
Great to see updates. Mexican Thunder, when are people going to stop giving Leona to that player? I've seen him play Leona so many times.
We'll have to see. Maybe Michigan State will be the one, of course. Keep in mind, tomorrow, Michigan State versus Michigan. If both teams win, they will be the two undefeated teams currently in the Eastern region. So it'll definitely be a huge match to watch. But
they both win today. MSU looking poised to do so right now.
Right.
With a 1,500 gold lead, and Michigan getting that win feels good for them. But OSU, they're got to be thinking, how do we come back from this one? They lost that Dragon uncontested. MSU was able to claim that, and they lost 2 kills, but they haven't given away any turrets yet. Things aren't looking too bad. I don't want to say that preemptively. When I'm looking at the CS differential top side, I'm thinking, okay, what do we do here?
Yeah,
how does OSU come back?
Oh, well, look here.
Maybe it's making a play. Nightshade immediately uses the ultimate onto Icelandic Hero. Says, you're level 5, I'm level 7. I'll take this fight any day of the week. Icelandic Hero has the flash. Will he use it this time? Gets over the wall to safety. Ohio Luigi taking some damage as well, but they are able to disengage. Cleveland might look for the re-engage. Icelandic Hero is the one that tries to go for it first. The quickness goes through, plus the battle dance. They take down Moonlight. Nightshade will follow. Icelandic Hero hits level 6, and they are able to get the double kill to Luigi. OSU strike back.
And that's a huge turnaround for Ohio State University, who's been on the back foot this entire game. It's been time after time losing out on these side lanes, but this time around, you're really seeing how Moonlight hasn't really been able to force anything here in the early game in favor of Michigan State. You had a missed gank coming through, a great rotation coming out from Cleveland with the boots mobility that just saves that mid lane matchup. And now Ohio State, they're finding ways into this one. You can see right here that it starts off with Moonlight whiffing on the cocoon. You're not able to take down Icelandic Hero, and you're just not really getting anything out of this fight. But then the longer this fight goes on, the more time you get for just the squad coming up from Ohio State. And once Cleveland is here, you can kiss that mid-fight goodbye. Oh, grand entrance comes on out, got the quickness, and he got the kill.
And the patience there from Cleveland is what's most impressive to me. Waits for Icelandic here to go in, waits for the cooldowns to be used by Moonlight, and then pops the quickness and goes in. That's a level of patience you don't always see from support players on engaged champs. But we do see here MSU able to claim that. River scuttled there?
Yeah, quick aside, during that replay, it does look like Icelandic Hero did pick up another death. Oh. Wait, that was to a neutral camp. What? There's no kill on the side of Michigan State.
Wait a minute.
I hope we have a replay. I swear, we better have a replay this one because he must have died to either like wolves or crop. Find the it doesn't matter.
Oh, he went for it. Oh, crop, no. Oh, crop. Oh.
Passive. The passive doesn't come through in time. Gromp able to get the kill, but now fighting the bottom lane.
On the bottom half, Dillerin out of that one. Argentum Sky too far forward, will go down. OSU making the most of this early game. Still have lots of ways to go here as top side. Cyborg's in some trouble. Sunlight might just take this, has the ultimate available. Noxing Guillotine not going to be enough to take him down.
No, and this is really the one still winning lane for Michigan State. They've been absolutely dominating this matchup. Riverell here.
Oh, now Nightshade's taking a lot of damage. Not a lot of tanky stats, but Moonlight actually ends a cocoon onto Cyborg. They take him down. Riverell flashes away from the damage, trying to do what he can. Nightshade, the feathers do not land the root, so Nightshade does get out safely.
Yeah, but here comes Icelandic Hero and Ohio Legion looking to pick up some really low HP bars.
Explosive cast from Icelandic Hero turns the attention onto Nightshade. There we go. Flash by Luigi. Doesn't even want to give an option of an outplay from Moonlight right there. And Nightshade as well, just buying time. Who's going to get the kill? I think it's Cleveland. No, Icelandic Hero smites it.
Got the
for the goal. You got to do it, right? You're like, yeah, Cleveland, what are you going to do with this goal? Buy more mobility? Come on.
No, but Ohio State, they're doing a decent job of responding to everything that Michigan State can do here on the map. And when you look at these compositions, Michigan State does not scale well. Mordekaiser, of course, is strong or to the early mid game, kind of falls off towards the late with your ability 1v1. There's a good engage and a bit of an oversight from Cyborg here. I'm actually curious what happened to the feathers from Riverell. Do they disappear? No, okay, just didn't have it.
They just went through the turret.
I thought they disappeared when he went into the realm, but no, you're right. Doesn't quite hit Nightshade. But this is just the follow-up. Michigan State, the issue here is that they're going for so many plays with no clear objective in mind. They're getting kills for kills' sake. They aren't doing that to try to get top tower. They aren't doing it to try to get Herald, and that's where things start to fall apart.
And speaking of Herald, OSU make a very early lane swap. They send their bot lane up to the top half of the map with Luigi to catch his bottom wave. Should be a trade of objectives as now MSU have control around the Dragon. They're looking for Luigi. They have Argentum Sky just walk right at him. There's nowhere to go, Luigi. OSU just have to sacrifice this member. You drop the Herald topside.
They're going to be able to find something. So not an absolute loss for Ohio State, but that's a little bit lazy. You know the Dragon is going to be going down on the bottom side of the map. You have zero vision whatsoever, and you keep Ohio Luigi pressed up. These are those small points, and that's a death by 1,000 cuts for Ohio. It's just those little imperfections.
But maybe they can make a play 4v2 on the top side right now. Sunlight and Nightshade definitely caught out here, but Flash from Sunlight does get the Darius to safety. Oh, the Draven spinning axes. Almost enough to take down Icelandic Hero, but this should be a turret going over to Ohio State University, but MSU pick it up first.
Wow. I mean, that was a bit of a disjointed play from Ohio State, but this is what you want to see out of a team who's on the receiving end of a play. It's holding fast, not freaking out, and just going to your game plan. Michigan State wasn't set up to defend the top side, so they didn't try. They just went to the bottom lane, got more gold onto Dillerim, who's now sporting the double BF swords.
Ooh.
Got so many friends.
Ooh.
The bestest of friends in the bottom lane, so Bloodthirster...
How you gonna hold that many swords, man? Come on.
He got two, he's spinning.
Yeah, he's got a long sword, he's got a Doran's blade.
Well, like, you put them together so you have the double spinning.
Okay, there we go. It's like one piece. Oh, Luigi with a well-timed stopwatch will dodge the damage, but it just resets, and Sunlight says, all right, round two, baby. Let's go.
Yeah, buys himself a few seconds, but not going to be able to find anything much here. that is a Trinity Force build going on to the Darius with the Raptors cloak, so has a lot of ability
But
to
this is the
escape
question.
and kill.
Is the Raptors cloak going to be a Zerat portal or the legendary item?
I thought Ownwrecker was out of the game.
Is it already out of the game?
It's either out of the game now or it's in the future.
Okay, well, we'll see what it builds into, but here's an engage coming in onto Riverell. The Xayah has the ultimate available. Will she need to use it? The answer is yes. The rest of the members of the team trying to be that front line, trying to disengage for Riverell, but a flash forward by Dillaran with the auto and the ultimate will take down Riverell. Pops the mastery, 3-0 on the Draven.
Yeah, it was a valiant effort in the early game for Ohio State. They were doing well of finding their own plays, you know, playing around the missed ganks coming out of Moonlight, but it's Draven time.
Maybe they can get something here. They take down Moonlight with a beautifully timed engage, but they still have to deal with Dillaran. Maybe 4 members will be enough. Dillaran getting slapped around and will go down. That was a bouncy house if ever I've seen one. OSU throw everything and get their shutdown.
It was actually looking really close that Dillaran was just going to be able to casually walk out of that fight, but not quite going to be that strong this early into the game. But that being said, the 4K gold lead still is the same. It doesn't lie. Ohio State still need to find so much back here. Only 1 tower to their name. Riverell. Okay, with the observers there, I thought there was somebody waiting in that bush to just...
They baited us, man.
Baited by...
They're showing that there could have been. But I think it's important at times like this, when action's settling down, teams are resetting, to take an overview of the game state right now. We expected OSU to be making engaged plays, which they have been, but I expected Riverell to be on the receiving end of a lot of the gold. Instead, it's Luigi, also going for that Triforce build. So I'm wondering, what is this going to do to OSU's overall strategy?
It's definitely going to mean that they need to rely a little bit more on Ohio Luigi in these fights, because I really also haven't seen the ultimate out of Twisted Fate being used too much aggression. I mean,
yeah.
It has been. I don't even think it's been popped once this game, and maybe a little bit in the offline, but
here's an engage under the turret onto OSU. Cyborg cannot use the second cast of the ultimate, but he's still engaging on to Sunlight. They lock down the Darius. It's going to be a trade of kills. Actually, Sunlight, he's still alive. He's going forward. Are they going to turn it? Oh my God! Sunlight with the double kill turns it around on OSU.
yeah, that's the cut for Michigan State. It's like, you want to 2v2 me? 2v1 me? I'll take that 2v1 all day. Has the cavalry arrive in Michigan State? They are shutting the Ohio State University down at the source. You're unable to answer this man in lane. 4-0-3 onto Darius. Got the brother and Draven 3-1-0 on the bottom side as well. And
yeah, there's some brotherly competition going on right now for sure. Sunlight said, hold my drink, Dillaran. I'm going in. And he cleans up. They get so much off of those 2 kills. They take that tier 2 bot turret. They almost take the tier 2 mid turret. And this game just exploded for MSU.
yeah, exploded is the right word. It all starts Cyborg not quite able to turn this one around. Nearly seals his fate here. The ultimate comes through. Bleed kills Cyborg off the backside, but then you're like, all right, maybe we're getting Sunlight. Haha, JK. Cube comes through. Healing goes on around, and it's just also the support around for Michigan State. They knew they needed to move towards that bottom side fight, and anytime you give Sunlight just time to survive in a lane, he's going to kill you.
And that's the problem with the gold being on the Twisted Fate, as he was almost caught out right there. Not a lot of DPS, but Luigi very far forward. But instead, it's Icelandic Hero that's punished. Maybe Luigi will go down as well. Cleveland trying to keep him alive, trying to dance around this fight. Riverell barely dodges the Q because of the ultimate coming in for Mordekaiser, but now you're trapped in that ultimate. Goes down to Nightshade. MSU. Zyrene, it's pre-20 minutes. Are you watching, buddy? MSU might just do it.
Yeah, it's looking pretty confident for the Michigan State squad. Ohio State, their composition was all about active playmaking. They needed to use the mobility that comes out of Twisted Fate Ultimate, and they needed to use Rollins from Cleveland way more than they have.
Another cocoon, another pick potential. No, he gets out. All right.
Yeah.
Whew. This is looking dire, though. OSU, they're looking for another engage, trying to get in here onto Moonlight. They do get the shutdown. Argentum Sky might go down, but Dillaran's there to back up his support. No mana, not needed. He's auto-attacking and getting that lifesteal, but finally the double kill comes in from Luigi. Flash 4, trying to get down to Argentum Sky. And OSU pick off a couple members, get that key shut down onto the Draven. Maybe they can get Nightshade as well. Cyborg almost falls for the effort, but OSU, they're still scrappy.
Yeah, Michigan State, maybe a little bit of hubris coming in there at the end, but overstaying in the mid lane will bite them, but it doesn't mean they won't get the inhibitors. They are able to fell that in the mid lane, and Ohio State really just going to be picking up the scraps on this one. It's just a classic overstay. There's so much already blown from Michigan State's side. Nightshade does not have ultimate. Engage comes through. You catch Moonlight. You catch out Iron Team Sky on the bottom side. But once you're able to lock Dilleran down like this, there's not much left to fight through. That's a long stun there. I think that's basically W max out of Twisted Fate just to keep him locked down, as you do on QW on Twisted Fate max. But
Luigi's been playing a very good game. Yes, there was that play bot side, over-aggressive, caught out, but other than that, in these team fights, very impressed with the positioning. But it's important to note, OSU, after that defense, after those kills, they also get the Infernal Drake. These are the steps to get them back, because we mentioned MSU, we expected them to win the early game. They have the early game composition, but do they have the scaling to match what OSU can put up if OSU is able to get gold on their key carries?
No, they so far Michigan State just haven't given them that room, and even kind of throwing it back to saying the Ohio Legion has been a huge part of this Ohio State early game. It's still just utilization of the Twisted Fate, not really being able to fight.
And another engage onto Moonlight. Flash is available, but doesn't have to use it. The explosive cast almost,
but
yeah,
looked cool.
Yeah, it was close. It was close. I like the attempt, but now OSU fully on the back foot. There's the depth charge coming in. They're trying to lock down Icelandic Hero. Can't quite get it, but MSU, without picking up any kills there, they can establish vision control and look to set up this Baron.
And that's exactly what you're going to get out of a mid push at this point. There's no inhibitor to take. You're not ending the game right here, but when you have mid priority, you have priority basically over the entirety of the jungle, and that, of course, leads to the Baron. And yeah, I don't think there's any way in hell that Ohio State can even think about taking this one away.
Yeah, at this point, you just try and get vision down where you can, push out waves where you can. Never mind, they're going for the fight. They actually catch out Argentum Sky, so the Baron does go down, but they clear out one member. Can they find more? It's a trade. Cleveland does go down. Riverall trying to DPS, trying to be that damage threat that they need. Nightshade was actually able to take him down. It's a 2-for-2 trade, but watch for Dilleran. This is the carry. This is the man, and they catch out Luigi. Sunlight's the one to get the kill. 5-0 on the Darius. OSU tried their best, but now two tanks are going to have to try and defend.
Yeah, 2v3 with the Baron buff up and available. I think this one might just well and truly be over. Dilleran might actually take a little bit longer, go ahead and clear that bot lane inhibitor tower, but it really shouldn't change the results of this one. Sunlight and Dilleran, you just can't fight them. They're too good in these small skirmish situations.
Both of them with 5 kills. We'll see who wins at the end of the game, which is the brother with the most kills claimed, but instead MSU, they got the Baron, they get that bottom inhibitor, and they don't want to be too over-eager. They're gonna reset, make the most of this 10,000 gold advantage that they have, or just around 9,000 now, and then put the final touches on the end of the game.
For some reason, I wasn't expecting the better safe than sorry approach from Michigan State. Maybe they realized with those first few dives on the mid lane inhibitor, maybe we shouldn't give even more back to Ohio State. In their defense, Ohio Luigi is still becoming more and more of a threat. I expect that to be a rapid-fire cannon to complement the Wits End plus Trinity Force build already. And then you do have some items now stacking onto Riverell. If you manage to get that to an Infinity Edge as well, you might just have enough to start cutting through members of Michigan State. Yeah. Looks scary. Almost took down Nightshade in the middle of that fight, but it's always just been that one little piece that hasn't quite clicked for Ohio State.
And this is the problem with OSU's composition from the beginning, is the DPS. It's all Riverell again, but again, it's Luigi getting the kills. Even though Luigi has been positioning well in team fights, there's only so much a TF can do in a team fight. You really need Riverell to step up and do this damage, but at this point, it's looking pretty rough. Here comes Cyborg trying to engage, doesn't land it onto Argentum Sky. Goes a little wide. That was the avenue for OSU to come back in. Now they have to rely on Cleveland or Icelandic Hero. Much less safe engage options.
And this is going to get really scary already. Michigan State, they're pushing Ohio State into a split push situation. They're not even using champion split push at this point. It's the 2 lanes of super minions already coming through. And
what's
the way
the TF supposed to do about this?
Kind of autos rapidly and just hopes that it's enough, but with Michigan State, Ohio State has to find an engage here at some point. At what point is too much to give away
They're trying to defend this inhibitor, but they're losing the top turret. Here's the 5v4, though. OSU goes for it. Darius is going to have to join in from the flank. Argentum Sky's buying time. Sunlight's on the back line. He gets one. He gets two. And this is going to be the sweep for MSU. They don't lose a single member. They get the ace, and they're going to take the series 2-0. OSU have ended their not getting swept streak. MSU 2-0 in the series.
Yeah, Michigan State, they just had the much more aggressive side lanes. They just let their players kind of play through. And Ohio State, there were some impressive plays. I was really impressed with Cleveland roaming in these early stages of the game. The problem was that was the exception. It wasn't the norm. And Michigan State just had complete control of where fights happened, who was involved in fights, and the game.
You looked at all the engage tools that OSU had, all the options they had in that late game, the Ornn, the Gragas, the Rakan. Those are three primary engagers sometimes, but with all three as options, it felt like maybe they could find the perfect play. If they could just lock down Dillerin, lock down a single member, and we saw that happen a few times. But the problem was MSU was playing the rest of the map. You said it yourself. They were letting the supers push in. They were playing with the pressure that they had built up through the little things rather than just looking for those 5v5 fights.
Exactly. They gave Michigan State so much control over the game where Ohio State wanted to come together in those earlier stages and not let those individual skirmishers really just start to take over the match. The problem was once it got to those later stages of the game, the split pushes were too big. Anytime you want to come together, you're going to give away so much else on the map. And it was also, once again, those dumb little misplays. Ohio State, especially in the top lane, Cyborg walking back under a early tower, just walking back into the Darius to die, bottom lane going down a few too many times despite some pretty clean early game play. And
Flash
once again,
coming in from Icelandic here.
Yeah, maybe left and right, maybe a few things that went wrong from the Ohio State side, but unfortunately it was just too much. The 1,000 cuts, they finally came together. They bled out at the end of the day. Michigan State still missing one very key member on RBM, still looking as strong as ever.
Yeah, and with a focus on the early game this time around, we saw in their Game 1 draft, it took them a little bit longer to get to that point in the game where they were able to dominate. Whereas this time it felt like outside of a few botch team fights where they might have stayed a little bit too long, which they learned from, they scaled it back, but they had control for the vast majority of that game. And that is what I'm looking at for other teams on the East Conference to see. I mean, we got Michigan going up against them tomorrow. So what's Michigan's homework going to look like is, okay, so OSU lost them in the early game when they had a late game scaling comp and then got decimated in the early game when they had the early game comp. So what do you even do against that type of team?
I think the thing that we talked about before game number 1, like the neutral objectives, are a point that you can wrestle some control away from the Michigan State squad. But I don't know if you can look at too heavily into what you see today, because I expect, actually I'm not sure, RBM might not be back for tomorrow. I guess we'll check Twitch chat. I'm sure RBM himself will tell us. But if RBM's not back, maybe try to leverage that early game. I'm still not blown away by Moonlight's early game pathing. Even in game 2, I thought that the failed Elise ganks were Ohio State's one way back into the game that was never capitalized on. But, playing around some of those deficiencies, being strong and not giving away things in those early to mid game scenarios, that's how you find your way back into this series. And for Michigan, they're going to have to do all their homework if they want to take this series off Michigan State tomorrow.
Yeah, Michigan State University, an incredible team to watch perform. And you got to think, thoughts are with OSU. Now 0-3 in match score. Pretty rough to realize statistically you can't make playoffs anymore. This is the preseason invitational still, so this is the time where you get together, you find that synergy to carry with you into the actual collegiate season. So I'm not counting them out for CELO yet, but it's definitely, they're looking at this start thinking, okay, what can we improve on? What can we fix up here?
Yeah, being in the northern region, it is going to be an uphill battle to even qualify through to national championships. I think they have it in them, but it has to be a lot more of just cleaning up the play style. It's keeping those mid-game mistakes to a minimum and then just letting your carry shine through.
Yeah. Well, we're going to send it over to Zyrene, who wants to break down one of the key moments in that last game that let Michigan take the series 2-0.
Look, Michigan State, I'm not upset. I'm just disappointed. Let's roll the clip. And you're going to see exactly what I'm talking about. My food was supposed to be warm when I got here. You guys are in the base. It's level 10, level 11. What is this? What is this? Why is he getting picked off? Why is the Darius running away that direction? What is going on? Why aren't you collapsing here? Why is this? Okay, you know what? It's okay. It's okay. Because you guys can win the game ultimately, but you know, it's all, in my opinion, it's really kind of about the journey. You guys made it there. You guys won. But at what cost, man? My Grubhub's cold. I don't even want to do this anymore. Take it back.
At what cost, Return? At what cost? Zyrene didn't get his warm food.
Disappointed.
Maybe it's like one of those noodles that's
Papa
meant to be
Zyrene
cold.
is not happy.
Honestly, I'm embarrassed. I'm embarrassed for Michigan State. How dare you not win in 20 minutes as Irene predicted?
Yeah. Well, they're going to have a chance tomorrow maybe to win back the favor.
True.
Of Inzire Moon, but it ain't going to be today. They're going to bed a little bit hungry tonight.
I think Aiden might be the one going to bed. I guess he's a picky eater. I don't know. We should go check on that guy. It's just food, man. Come on. We've all had cold noodles before.
Yeah, I wonder what we're going to have today, though. It's Grubhub.
Grubhub, yeah. Make sure that you're hopping on and participating in the online social media interaction as well. You can go and vote on what food we will be having for the cast and chat on, so make sure that you're participating in there. I, again, have not checked what the options are. I want it to be a surprise, but I'm just hoping it's something exciting. That's all I ever.
Fingers crossed. We'll see. I think there was like dessert on there. I thought there was like a pork sandwich as well.
You're never gonna pick
excuse me as I just
dessert.
spoil everything for you immediately.
Okay, well, dessert's on there every time.
But you know what won't be spoiled? The food, because Grubhub's going to get us to us fast.
Absolutely, Return. I just want to break down slightly more of what the implication for a 3-0 Michigan State University means for the rest of the Eastern Conference, or the East Conference. We expect Michigan to continue looking strong, but tomorrow we're going to have those questions answered. This is going to be the battle of the Titans on the East. I mean, as of right now, what do you think these teams need to be considering going into this titular matchup?
I think they need to be considering that if Michigan State win this next series versus Michigan, you just hand them the title of the Eastern champions at this point.
Yeah.
Like, they are looking so concise. I mean, RBM had some pretty big words to say on the last broadcast I was a part of, but I think a lot of those words have been founded pretty true. I don't think there's anyone who can really hold a candle to them at this point on this side of the bracket. So it's going to be just catching up for the rest of the teams in the conference if that is truly what goes down tomorrow.
Yeah, Michigan State University saying Illinois, the only competition that they consider. We still need to keep in mind there are 2 undefeated teams on the western side, so Illinois versus Minnesota will be a big deciding factor, as neither of these teams from the conferences will see each other until the grand finals. That's the best part, is there could be all this smack talk, all of this, all these promises, but we never know until we know at the end of the preseason invitational. But that does it for match number 1. Make sure that you stick around as we send it for a short break and get ready for further matches coming up. Don't go anywhere. And welcome back, everybody, to the BTN 2019 Preseason Invitational Week 3, as we just finished up our first series of the weekend. Michigan State University taking down Ohio State University in 2-0 fashion, continuing the undefeated streak alive. Exciting to see what they have in store for Michigan up tomorrow as the featured match, but now we're on to the Western Conference. We got Purdue taking on University of Iowa. This one we're tailoring more as a middle of the pack kind of matchup here. Neither of these teams undefeated as of right now, and we're not quite sure stylistically who's going to take this one.
No, I mean, this one should line up pretty well. I think we've seen, some pretty decent things out of both teams. I mean, Purdue currently has a higher standing, 2-1 at coming to that third place. But we've seen a lot of bright sparks out of Iowa. I mean, Kwipo in the top lane, Phantom B in the mid lane. They're strong players, but it just hasn't been the cohesion yet that they need to have any real shot in the Western Division.
Mm-hmm. So, Zyrene, when you're looking at Iowa, when you're looking at another team that's playing around a top lane, what do you think their style needs to be going up against Purdue in this match?
Well, whenever I think of somebody playing to the top side, I'm always going to think about the jungler. It's never that isolated one-on-one matchup. It's how they actually sack the top lane if they decide to play around a different lane, or if they're freeing up people to go roam there. Because I feel like in this meta, and pretty much in the past, I would say few months, it's been like top laners have some freedom. Yes, they aren't just relegated to playing tanks, Maokai, etc. And there's more kind of freedom there. But I think that freedom has gotten a little out of hand sometimes, where they are playing carries, but they aren't being played too. So it's almost like you leave people in a carry matchup with no attention sometimes. So you have that pivot of you can play up there, but you should play somewhere else because things like Xayah and Kai'Sa are so strong in the mid-late game. So playing to other people, I think, is usually the way to go to eventually get back to the top lane. So try to isolate the top lane matchup if you get a favorable one in draft.
Well, let's take a look at the last time these two teams matched up against each other. Purdue did take the series 2-0 over Iowa. And again, they're 2-1 in series standings right now. Definitely looking like a team that's making a run for that playoff spot. Taking a look at their roster here, Liznassa in the top lane. No slouch in their own right up there, but holy KRP, holy crap, as many like to call him, definitely the star player on the team.
Certainly so, and I think in this matchup in particular, the mid lane is going to decide a whole lot. It's one of the strong points of Iowa, and very much so for Purdue as well. So if Purdue want to get this game done, they're going to have to really focus on getting Holy KRP ahead through the draft, through the early game, maybe some of that jungle rotation, and really just try to push this junior over the line.
Yeah, holy crap himself. Junior, already Grandmaster. I feel like sometimes I notice a difference in the year in school that they are to their rank. So when you're looking at a Grandmaster Junior, they got a full year ahead of them. There's 2 more collegiate seasons under this player's belt. That's a lot of potential here for Purdue's team.
I thought you were going to say, as their age in school increases, their ELO directly decreases. So seeing a junior
Inverse
Grandmaster is actually quite impressive because he's got a lot on his plate.
Something like that.
That's how it is with real life.
Unfortunately, things don't get easier as you grow up. It's a PSA for any college students out there currently right now. It's a crazy world out there.
Are you speaking from experience?
I might be speaking from both of our experience, Richard, if we're being quite honest right now. But Purdue, I'm excited to see how they decide to tackle Iowa in particular, because playing around mid lane as your primary focus, it allows you to open up either side of the map. When I see strong mid laners that like to get a lead and then bring that elsewhere, suddenly you can play anywhere. Iowa, slightly different beast though, sitting 1-2 in match record right now. And based on what we've seen, it feels like they play around their top lane more so than we see from Purdue.
Yeah, certainly so, but I mean, when we're talking about all that, when we're talking about transition, I mean, we're talking about top jungle synergy, mid jungle synergy. Barcode here in the jungle for Iowa has been a pretty pivotal part about where they start to allocate those resources, but somebody who hasn't been getting as much love has to be Phantom in the mid lane. He's had some pretty stellar performances, winning most matchups he's placed into, but it doesn't feel like Iowa are willing to double down on that.
Yep, but Phantom himself, computer science major and a freshman to boot. So a lot of opportunity to grow and for Iowa to figure out what their identity is going to be with this particular mid laner.
And when I look back at this in the first week that we saw these guys, and they were coming fresh out of the gate, they took a game off of Minnesota, who's currently an undefeated team, at 4-0. So that is very promising. Even though Iowa is sitting at that record of 1-2, they have a 3-4 game record. So they're very close to being able to turn this around, and they just have to have a few more parts click in for them.
And again, it is the preseason. This is the time where these teams need to be focusing on this and figuring out what their identity is going to be. Iowa feels like we don't necessarily know their full identity yet. So my eyes are going to be, where do they choose to put their resources? How do they choose to play? Because we've seen different Iowas show up so far.
Yeah, certainly. I think it is going to be coming around. Do we start to gravitate back towards Phantom? Do we double down on top lane? And even just be more confident with that style? Because they've also been caught up before where they will, all right, so we're going to play around Phantom in the mid lane. Like, that decision will be made, and then it's, leaving an island, getting caught out, not respecting really where that enemy team jungle pressure is. I think that starting to respect that and starting to really play around that, that's going to be the next step that Iowa needs to take, because those steps, they got to start coming soon, because when you look at the competition here in this Western region, it's a lot. You got Minnesota, you got Illinois, you got so much to get through, even just thinking about the playoffs.
Yeah, and we're talking about developing and learning your style. Playoffs is just more games to play. It's more time on stage where you get to practice and be that in that team environment. So if you're looking to make the playoff run, it starts here. We're into the mid-season essentially right now. So every loss is going to hurt that much more. Iowa, they'd love to shore that up, even it out at a 2-2 match record. Irene, you're saying they took a game off Minnesota. We'll see what they can do against Purdue as we're ready for pick and ban.
All right.
Purdue on the blue side, what are we expecting the priority picks to be here for this team?
For Purdue, I mean, there's quite a bit up and available in the meta. I mean, a lot of people have been gravitating towards some of those early pick flex picks. I mean, the Renekton's still been kind of up and around, jungle as well. I'm not sure if we're going to see as much towards ADC. I know that Xayah Kai'Sa has been nerfed as of late on 9.22. So far in the tournament, I don't think teams have really cared. I mean, you've still been seeing the early Kai'Sas, the early Xayah still coming through, but it'll be interesting to see where the priority is put. Against Iowa, though, you have to keep in mind what copy, and Koopy actually in the top lane, I don't think we were expecting. I don't know if that's a rename, or we'll have to get some clarification on that, because usually it's Klippo in that top side. But between Klippo and between Barcode, you have the Kayn, you have the Darius, you have the Yasuo that you have to be mindful of. But the fact that Purdue aren't banning none of those makes me think this is legitimately a different top lane.
And Koopy, I know, was one of the players last season, so it's always hard to tell if it's a name change or a substitute coming in. But we'll figure that out.
It's the
later.
Wild West here in Collegiate.
So Zyrene, my question for you is 9.22. Not a lot of time so far for teams to really get a full grasp of this, because this was not Worlds meta. We haven't seen a lot of professional play. This is the time of the year where teams get to define their own meta. So what are your favorite picks for these guys to focus on this specific patch?
Kiana. It's not banned right now. It was banned on blue side in both the previous games, even by MSU, showing that they really didn't want to prioritize it that highly. So Kiana sticks out to me in Champion Select when it's not banned away, because I feel like it's still, people are still trying to figure out, how do you beat this champion exactly? Because it changes the way that your enemy has to play around her at all times, and what even counters her like in lane. So there's still kind of that discovering phase. Even though it's had like a whole round in Worlds, people are still trying to figure out exactly how to tackle that champion. So if they leave it up, to me that signifies that maybe they have an idea of something that they can play against it and feel like it's successful.
And Zyrene, we're not even on the new Rift yet, where Xayah is just going to get completely out of control. But we had a slight delay there with the draft. We'll be back with it very shortly. So in the meantime, I'm curious what some of those bans were. A lot of solo lane focus from the side of Purdue. They took away the Kayle, they took away the Cassiopeia, two champions that I have typically known to be late game scaling solo lane focused champions. So Purdue clearly respecting those solo lanes coming in from Iowa.
Yeah, I think the solo lanes is still where you have to focus. Iowa's bottom lane hasn't really shown too much. In fact, the bottom lane has kind of been susceptible to either getting ganked pretty early on and then falling prey, or just not ever finding their true momentum in the bottom side of the map. So that is exactly how you got to go. The Kayle, of course, still I don't think that really anyone in this game is on my Kayle list so far. Of course,
not
that list is pretty short right now.
From
but
last series, come on.
Oh, I'm thinking back to the Cassio ban, and I think back to a game that had Zed, Tristana, Kayn, Thresh in it.
Right.
And then the Cassiopeia, I believe, was Phantom B playing at top lane.
Exactly, yeah.
And had an incredible game. Even though they lost that game, he was popping off on
like
that.
14-1
He
at the
literally
end,
died because the game was ending. Like, he died at the Nexus. That was the only time that he actually lost his life. So the Cassiopeia ban from Purdue, I think, is a big respect and shout out there to Phantom B. And they're focusing on this mid lane matchup about as much as we are here, because the Kayle, the Cassio, and the Syndra and the Taliyah take it away here signifies to me that they want to pin down that mid lane, and the Ryze first pick on top of that too.
And what Phantom B fell back on once Cassiopeia was taken away in that series was the Vladimir. So I'm curious if there's going to be any focus on that coming in from the side of Iowa. Clearly, they like to get Phantom B on something that he can really make a big impact and carry games with.
Right, and when you're talking about what is in his pockets, you have to think about what they played in the first game of that series, and that was the Ahri in the mid lane as well. Not really super priority for a lot of these mid laners right now, but in Collegiate, you have that flexibility to go for some of those more aggressive, more like non-standard picks, and I think the Ahri does give you some of that control. I think if you go Vladimir, then you're like, all right, Phantom, congratulations, we'll see you in about 30 minutes time. But you have these other opportunities to really start to express your skill in this mid lane. And looks like we're just going to start with a clean slate.
Looks like it. We'll see if there's any changes in the bans themselves.
Well, let's see. I'm predicting
no
a
blue
Kayle
It's gonna be a
ban.
Kayle.
Kayle was manifest it. Kayle first ban from Purdue.
Well, we'll see. Well, I'm not sure. We could play the old game Rub My Head featuring Sir Butt Kick, but
Oh boy,
Not that cursed segment. But either way.
has it gone well in the past?
I don't think it did.
I'm pretty sure
I think
I
you got all of them wrong.
had most wrong
Yeah.
in that segment that we ran. So
It wasn't
my
shined
head-
enough.
It is a curse.
But
head,
didn't have
for
the
sure.
pure sight.
It wasn't purely shaven, whereas today
Exactly.
it is. So
Okay.
I think we're good to go.
So
But
Kayle,
we-
Syndra, Cassio, Pyke, Pantheon, Taliyah would be
Sounds about
the
right.
ban. So Pyke, yeah.
There we go. So it seems like it would have been an issue with one of the picks then coming through from Purdue's side. So we'll see what they decide to focus here. They locked in that Ryze. Now, that's an interesting choice. You can still flex it around, but it feels like a couple patches ago is meta.
I mean, it was, but the main thing with the Ryze is that that's just a soul lane that you can just count on pushing, that you can count on, pushing through. If you have an advantageous matchup like into a melee, you're going to easily shove them under, but you have the scaling options. It kind of just brings everything to the table all at once. You have gank assist, you have ability to rotate around the map. It's a come-all, end-all.
And it's still locked in here for Purdue. So they are
I guess we just
confident
wanted
in
to slow
that
it down.
Ryze pick. Yeah, we just wanted to take a little more time to hang out with Twitch chat. We should call those segments Chillin' with Steves. And, Aiden, you're welcome too.
Allowed.
He's allowed into the club. But now
Thank
the Ahri
you.
is answered here. It is locked in
There it
for
is.
Iowa.
Yeah, I think that's trying to dissuade the Ryze away from the mid lane, so still having the Ahri, not only you have some pushing ability, but you have some engage potential onto the Ryze, especially around that level 6, potentially with Barcode, you got that nice duo, but pushing him up towards top lane does now not only give you the counter pick on the bottom side of the map, but now you get to counter pick on the top side as well, so you got Ryze, you got the whole bish bash boosh bosh going around. Very in-depth analysis.
They also get the priority pick 80 carry with this.
Yeah, it is still on.
Either go Nautilus, Kaisa here, or you take the Leona to try and counter the Xayah. I actually like the Leona a little bit more, but I think against the Ahri, Nautilus is a little bit better.
Right.
So
Point and clicks are nice.
yes. Oh,
They feel
Caitlyn.
great.
Oh
Yeah.
boy.
Okay.
Yeah, so
They might go for the range here if that is locked in.
Yeah, it's a lot more early game oriented, and I think that's actually a good pick.
right, because initially here with Iowa, so you have the Xayah locked in and Reconnaissance on the board, you're expecting the Lovers duo to come through bot lane, and given that you have the extra range on the Caitlyn plus the nerfs on the Kaisa, it gives you not only the extra safety, but a little bit more aggression, and you can actually now go ahead and fight for bot lane control instead of just saying, all right, we'll see you at level 6. My name's Kaisa. I have 5 range, but...
And some strong, outplay potential from the Caitlyn into the Rakanna as well. I mean, you just 90 caliber net to safety if he tries to engage onto you.
What a cupcake.
So we'll see if Iowa even go... Yeah, that too. We'll see if Iowa even decides to go for the Rakanna at this point in time. It's still a strong combination in the 2v2, but they have options. They don't even have to lock it in right now. There's a jungler option on the table. We'll see what they decide to go for here. Looks like we might have another slight visual bug there. So they opted to not choose. They did go for the Zyra, it looks like. Interesting.
The Zyra?
That's what I'm hearing.
Okay, so immediately they think about Zyra Rakan. Rakan, of course, has some of those gauge issues into this style of composition, so they just see tank, and they're like, you know what goes good into tanks? Plants.
A lot of...
So it is going to be...
Is that how it works?
Yes. It's going to be a very riskier lane, as if Nautilus gets the engage onto Zyra. Obviously, there's harder lockdown, less damage to... Or less HP to really soak that up. But also, it's the idea of dissuading that engage if you have an all engage onto Caitlyn, you put down the ultimate, you have this giant zone of control to stop that engage through, and eventually get level 6, you got hard lock.
I see Zyrene snickering. What's your opinion of this match?
I'm just saying, good luck with Zaya and Zyra in the same lane, guys. Like, I've already, like, everybody's kind of waiting and like, oh, is that the right one? Yeah, I locked it in. Okay, Zyra. Like, which one am I talking
I think the
about?
coach might have been saying, lock in Zaya, not realizing they already had
Again.
it. Got a little confused. We'll see. It's
the other bird.
Zyra's a support we haven't seen in quite a while, so we'll have to keep our eyes on it during the game. But catching up on the rest of the bans, Purdue opted to focus on the Rex side, taking that away from Barcode in the jungle, and then the Riven as well, whereas Iowa focusing more on solo lanes. The Yasuo and the Echo taken away, and they get a lock in a jungler now, taking the Olaf.
Yeah, ban away from Yasuo means that they don't want the Yasuo into Ahri matchup. Makes sense, able to annihilate a lot of those skill shots. But also the fact that there's a Yasuo ban on Iowa's side does basically confirm our suspicions from earlier. This isn't a rename. This is Koopy in the top lane, so it's not the Yasuo Darius 2-trick.
Okay.
That Iowa fans have come to know and love. It is going back to a little bit more old reliable. But with that early game aggression you're talking about, you know, what's going to help the Ahri out, they're going to go to Olaf, and hopefully that's going to help lock down some of these less mobile members, especially like Ryze, who's really relying on the Rune Prison plus the Caitlyn traps to lock down. You're going to be able to run through.
But we're seeing the rest of the draft come in for Purdue. They're locking in the Gangplank and the Lee Sin right now. So options here for Purdue.
Yeah, for the Iowa final pick, because they picked Gangplank, you can't pick something like mega aggressive like Renekton into it. It does work a tiny bit, but there's just too much volatility to it.
Right.
Just pick Vladimir. You can go even Klepto if you wanted to and just kind of use Gangplank as like a money bag. It's very just neutral matchup. Nobody's going to kill the other one, and you just farm up and scale, and the Vladimir scales a little bit better.
But it's important to note that this will most likely be the Vladimir on Koopy, not onto Fathom B, who is currently in the mid lane position. Unless they do a lane swap
Did it once.
with the players, we could see that come through. But I know Iowa as a team, especially last season, very comfortable playing with a multi-man roster. They had 8 players actually play during Collegiate last season. So maybe trying some of that out in preseason as well, seeing who's best in what position and who they really want to bring into the collegiate season. But we'll see who's able to take the win. We also have to say who we predict is going to take the win. I'm going to go first. It's tough to say based on those drafts, but I got to give it to Purdue. I feel like when I don't know based on the draft, I default back to who has convinced me that they are the smarter player so far.
So who has the better record?
Yeah. 2-1 record. You know, you're calling me odds, Irene.
3 greater than...
I got you.
I'm just saying. But also keep in mind, Iowa did play Minnesota.
True.
That is true.
All right. Well, I already gave mine. Let's see what Return thinks.
So I have to draw a line when it comes to like, okay, how much faith am I willing to put into this team? And that line is like the Zyra into the Nautilus plus like the amount of aggression you have to play around. I do slightly like the more the ease of execution that comes with just like the Ryze lockdown, the Nautilus lockdown. You can find things a bit more efficiently. I think if there's going to be a win from Iowa, it's going to come out of that mid lane from Phantom. But I think just seeing the drafts and knowing the teams, Purdue, I think I'm going to have to double down with you on that one.
All right, 2 for Purdue. What do you think?
I'm struggling on this one a bit. I like the draft from Iowa because I think it can do some really cheeky things. But Purdue, like you guys are saying, kind of stands out as the better team. But I actually think Iowa will take this one. I feel like because of the matchup they have in the top lane and also the jungler on top of it with the aggression of Olaf, I just feel like everything kind of comes together for me. Okay. And I feel like there's kind of like a good formula for a win here. They got to counterpick both solo lanes. They got to get an aggressive jungler. So I think they're on the right path here to victory.
But did you already circle them on your notebook?
I didn't.
You did not.
That does not mean I'm convinced.
Doesn't have the convincing circle. Well, we'll see if Zyrene's right in his prediction or if Purdue can take the game as we get ready and load in onto the Rift, brought to you by Grubhub.
It's my death note.
So Death Note for Purdue, I guess. Wait, Death Note, you're supposed to write the
Iowa,
name.
though.
Yeah, but you're supposed to write the name of the person you want to die, but he wrote Iowa. So I don't know what this means.
It's overly.
Is it the life book? Maybe it's the life book, the antithesis
life note
of the Death Note. Yeah,
okay,
well,
we'll have to see how that series develops. In the meantime, Iowa might have a death sentence, I guess. They'll have to fight against that one or whatever.
In this game.
Whatever that just happened, but certainly in the early game, I think it does come down a lot more to what, of course, Clam Sparkles on the Lee Sin is going to be able to do in the early game, especially when you have an aggressive bottom side of the map. But when you look at the lanes, you have to be looking not only at the Zyra, but also at the Ahri matchup in that mid lane. Should be a counter directly into the Ryze, and as Irene said, double solo lane counter picks do normally favor the team that gets those counters, so that's going to be some lane priority coming through from the Iowa side.
And we see Holy Crap actually respecting that, taking the cleanse, knowing that if that charm lands and the Olaf is nearby, you're probably going down there. So Purdue looking to play around Clam. Sparkle, as you said, returned. Wherever this Lee Sin decides to go is where I'm expecting action to follow. But it's not to be mismatched by Barcode on the Olaf. Both of these junglers known to make action happen early.
Yeah, certainly so. Biggest thing I have to think about, when you think about what these early junglers can do, especially with Olaf, is where does that priority go? And already, I think Flawed Logic, I've played both sides of this matchup before. Support main, you got the Nautilus and the Zyra. Nautilus, the only thing you want to do is just close that distance, especially in these early levels, because Zyra, without that root, isn't going to be able to push you off. She has no HP bar. You get in, you get the passive down, but good
That's
poke.
the poke that comes through from the Zyra, especially when you hit level 2 first. Now landed by Purdue's bot side. So again, we need to pay attention to what goes down there. The Zyra, a champion that we haven't seen in quite a while, could have a big impact on how this early game goes for Iowa. If they can win this 2v2, that opens up the rest of the map for Barcode to look and roam around. As we've seen, Iowa loves to play around their solo laners.
They certainly could, but as any kind of poke support goes, it's not about how you start off the lane, it's how much maintenance do you need on that laning phase. Phantom,
ooh, has to flash early, but will still go down. First blood picked up by Holy Carp.
That was so smart from Clam in the mid lane, as he uses the W to get in range after landing the Q, but that means you can just Q follow with the flash, and that's going to be a great first blood pickup here.
Answer by Iowa onto the top side, trying to get onto Liznasta. Flash is available. I don't know if they have enough damage to really threaten that out, and Liznasta can absorb that pressure and gets that safe.
Yeah, almost actually takes down Barcode in the process. Clam is hanging around, has not yet been spotted, so if Barcode goes anywhere else than backing onto this tower, he is in danger. Doesn't look like he's going to be getting out safe.
But look at the Koopy. Also trying to keep this wave managed right now, and will actually succeed in that venture, meaning that Clam Sparkle not going to look for the gank, will just take that kill mid lane. So Holy Carp already having the tier, not going to be struggling for mana right now. And that's the biggest thing with the Ahri. You said it before, getting pushed in, having to back at inopportune times. That early gank will really help shore up some of that weakness.
Yeah, it's going to help a lot because Holy Carp, and you see with the cleanse as well, is mainly focused on avoiding the charm combination, especially at that level 6 point. So if you're able to give Carp not only the advantage just in the lane with gold, but also just something to get you over that XP line to potentially hit level 6 first, that's going to make that a much, not quite safe lane, but a little bit safer. You're going to have knowledge a bit more of when that spike is coming and just control. And even also when you get that early kill, it puts something in the back of the enemy mid laner's mind. It's always that thought of, okay, is Lee Sin waiting just around the corner? Am I about to be ganked? Am I going to go down again?
I just used my flash, not level 6.
Exactly.
Gotta be careful. But here's an engagement onto the bot side. Ben 1 has to flash away on the Zyra. Almost goes down there, but another play onto the mid. It's Barco getting engaged on this time around, and the damage comes through from Clam Sparkle. Another kill for Purdue.
Yeah, 2v1 in that mid lane. Olaf is not that strong this early on when you don't get multiple Qs, and it seems like it was really good focus from Purdue. Both Clam and Carp immediately go on to Lee Sin, go on to the Olaf rather, while Ahri Phantom was just a bit further away, and now this is potentially getting some really scary points. You have a 13 CS lead in the mid lane. Phantom was supposed to be your main carry point here in the early game, and so far, it's not finding anything. And now bottom lane.
Ooh, also on the bot side, not going too well for Iowa. One kill comes through onto Ben 1. I'm dying goes, and a double kill to Flawed Logic. Purdue winning the entire bottom half of the map.
Yeah, as a support player, I can tell you, it doesn't matter how much you get done with that poke game. If you let your guard down for even a second, all the good you have done can immediately go to waste, and that is exactly what happens down there. It was some good poke and lane control coming through from Ben, but all it takes is one, well, 2 hooks, because one to get away the flash, the other one to kill, but all it takes is that one hook to turn the laning phase around entirely, and now it is just a process. It is rinse and repeat, engage, and when ultimate comes up, it's going to be huge for Flawed Logic. And now Clam has another winning matchup here on the bottom side.
Yeah, this Lee Sin can play around so much. Barcode has not been able to get as much done in this early game, opting for farming instead. So yeah, you got that CS advantage. maybe you hit level 6 sooner and then look to make something happen, but eventually you have to help out your lanes that are definitely struggling at this age of the game. 2,000 gold advantage already to Purdue. Full control around this bottom half with the gold advantage that they have. And I mean, Flawed Logic, Moby Boots roaming around already on the Nautilus. That is terrifying.
Yeah, he's going to be devastating. And the only way that Iowa can try to counter that is just with hard pushing in the bottom lane. Thankfully, when you have a Zyra, that does somewhat help the cause, but you're going to be seeing some movement potentially from Carp, but definitely from Clam. Because if you can start to ward up this bottom side and keep Flawed Logic in a space between bottom mid lane, whenever he's in that zone, as a support or as a bottom lane for Iowa, you have to be wondering whether he's coming down to gank bottom lane himself or whether he's roaming up. It's this state of like Schrodinger's support. Is he ganking top lane? Is he coming down? We don't know
if
until
you don't
it's too
have
late.
vision,
Yeah.
it's both. So
Exactly.
play safe, play with respect, but you still have to stay in lane enough to get that level 6. Has not locked that in yet, but should be coming soon. Oh, it could be a 3v3 level 6 landed.
You have the Gangplank ult.
Liznastic could look to ult down. Barcode is here. They're going in onto I'm Dying, who does not have level 6 yet. Clam Sparkle there as well. Same with Holy Carp. They land the hook onto the AD carry. I'm Dying goes down. Barcode follows a double kill to Purdue.
Yeah, Purdue, this is absolutely beautiful play. Not only do they set up on the bottom side, not only do they have the global advantage, but they even bring Carp, and that should be just like every red flag in the, as I said, the pen flying here. That should be every single red.
Get him out of here.
That should be every red flag in the world for the side of Iowa. There's the Gangplank ultimate. Thank you very much. His pen comes back to me.
Oh, you got yours back now.
It's 5v3 here on the bottom side with the Gangplank. There should be no setup coming on this bottom side at all. The second that mid laner's in there, you should be pulling the Olaf back, but Iowa don't respect that pressure. Purdue, they get everything for nothing.
7-0 is the kill score. 16K to 11.5. For any of those math majors out there, that is 4,500 gold advantage pre-10 minutes. This is a sizable mountain for Iowa to try and climb back from. Purdue not giving them the option so far. They just keep making these plays.
And for any of you math minors out there, 16 is greater than 12, so you know at least that Purdue does have the lead. But
Thanks for clarifying that.
anytime, I got you there. I got you with the minor, but
Is a
don't
potential
even
play
need
on
the
top
TI-84
side.
for that one.
Liznastic does not know that there is another member. Oh, Barcode actually, he juked us out too. He was looking for the top side, but did not commit to the play.
And this is really where you get into the folly of Olaf. If you go down early, it becomes so difficult for you to actually find any sort of advantage here in the early game, because like, what are you going to gank at this point? There's so much control on the bottom side for Purdue that, you know, with that, even if you're going to go in, you're going to go in 2v1. Like that Zyra and Zaya are just going to peace out on the other side of the map. And mid lane, Carp is up 101, has so much defensiveness, especially with the cleanse, and then you've seen what happens when you go up against Gangplank in the top lane. He just runs away very quickly, and there's almost this sense that there's not really a successful play that you can pull off without so much setup. At this point, I'd almost just turn him into a warding bot.
Purdue playing this early game fantastic. Also with some patience in the
Goes
building.
Warrior too.
Yeah. Holy Carp, having the patience, just building the mana, trying to scale up with those Merc Treads, realizing, okay, I can't get over aggressive. I can't let this Ahri outplay me. I'm going to let my bot lane really be the ones to push this advantage. We see Bishop and Flawed Logic pushing in. They have a completed Infinity Edge on the Caitlyn already. His Caitlyn is just bleeding gold, almost twice as much in the pocket as I'm Dying.
Yeah, you're going to be very happy here. That is just Caitlyn. You have the early game advantage in the bottom lane. Now double that down with the ability to engage Flawed Logic.
Here's the engage we're talking about in onto Ben, but I'm Dying trying to do what he can. The Feather Call comes out, pulls it back in onto Flawed Logic, locked under the Gangplank ultimate, and Flawed Logic will get that kill. Now Barcode trying to turn it around, flashes forward, does get one. Bishop might just have the DPS. Can he get one more auto? And Bishop turns it around, plus Holy Carp coming down with Clam Sparkle. Purdue take the fight.
Yeah, unfortunately, the perfect game's going to be gone as the death does go down on the Flawed Logic and almost another one onto Bishop. But the mobility from Iowa, it's just not there. Purdue arrived first. Purdue arrived in numbers. And there's also the age-old question of the junglers. If you gank a bottom lane, but the bottom lane isn't there, does it make a sound? And unfortunately, it makes one that's about the Olaf death sound as already. Like, I'm Dying, Ben, it just immediately peace out with Flawed Logic and get on through. And there's just nothing that can be done from Barcode in this bottom lane.
We've all been there. Your jungler pings, I'm coming, and you go in a little too soon. Suddenly you can't help out your junglers. They're trying to clean up the fight, but Iowa, at least they still got some fight in them. It's not working right now, but they're not just giving up in this early game. They're still trying to be proactive and trying to make anything happen that they can.
Yeah, they are, but you have to be wondering what are their ways back in, because still from Iowa, and this is something that has plagued them in the past, especially when they're playing around like a Yasuo top lane, is that they can sometimes leave themselves without key components of a composition. Sometimes, especially when they get some assassins rolling, they don't really have any wave clear to keep a game going. At this time around, they don't realistically have that engage. Phantom is the closest thing to a hard engager they have, and that means that Iowa basically need to flex this into a pick composition.
Maybe they catch their pick right here, though. Clam Sparkle tries to catch out Barcode. Barcode will go down. A trade almost happened there. Barcode, he had Clam Sparkles in his sights, but could not take him down himself.
No, and now, like, once what we just said, it's just a pick composition, but unfortunately they try to go for the play directly on the Flood and on the Clam. Clam too mobile to get away, and then the members for Purdue are on a constant state of readiness. They are the firefighters. They see like one gank go off. You got sirens going on around. Speaking of sirens, I got one going off
They're
in bot
looking
lane.
for a dive on the bot side. They have 4 members down here. They get the teleport out of Koopy, and they actually call it off. This allows Liznasha to get so much on the top side, but Phantom looking for something here. Koopy, yeah, you gotta just walk back at this point.
That's smart from Purdue because they force the TP on the bottom side of the map, realize that there's nothing really to fight over here as the Dragon isn't up yet. In fact, I wouldn't be shocked to see just a hard rotation up top lane. You have the tower going down and top release the plates. Herald is up and available, and now with the TP advantage as well, once you eventually have the Dragon coming up, you can TP play down, you can ultimate on down, and you should just be able to win basically any fight you take in the next few minutes.
Yeah, Purdue, with just threatening a dive under that turret, got so much for that play. They can continue pushing down on this bot side, but look at Iowa. They actually have their Olaf in the Dragon Pit right now. I thought he might have just been starting it up, but 3 members pushing in from Purdue. Can Barcode get anything done here? They got Phantom B coming in as well, trying to get in onto Bishop. Ragnarok comes in, but he just gets popped. It's a 1-for-1 trade as Flawed Logic will go down and the teleport completes by Liznasta. Can Iowa hold the line? Can they keep the defense up? Very low health turret. Phantom actually gets some damage into Holy Carp, but you got to imagine Purdue, they're going to put the final nails in this turret. Yep, just walk up as 4. Iowa looking to defend still, can't find it though. Turret goes down.
Yeah, well, it was a teamfight win for Purdue as they also get the tower as well, and I expect a Dragon here quite shortly. There was actually such a late teleport coming in from Liznasta. I believe that he was backing, he was trying to grab at least an item. I think that was the components of the Trinity Force that he was backing, so he wasn't TPing immediately. But the fact that that takes so long means that they're only able to pick up 1 kill, only able to pick up a little bit on this bottom side of the map, and then it does trade back copy in the top lane. In fact, it actually takes so long, they don't even get the Dragon.
Yeah,
There's
all that prep work out the window here as Iowa are able to hold on for long enough. Liznasta has to take the walk onto the bot side as the lane swap comes through, because Purdue, they read that. They realized, okay, we lost the Dragon. Let's just, you know, try to make something happen elsewhere. Maybe they can get this Rift Herald for it.
Yeah, and don't take me wrong. Purdue is still winning this one pretty convincingly. The fights that they're setting up are all in their favor. They know what advantages to play around on the map. It's just that sometimes the optimization of the plays isn't quite there, and that's what at least feeds a little bit more into the Iowa machine. It gives them something to play around in the future and do in their favor. Sure, Koopy is still going to be a late-game terror. It's Vladimir, he does damage and he kills people, but please somebody pick up that.
Notice,
there we
hasn't
go.
gotten a kill or an assist, but hasn't died either. So Koopy, you know,
He's doing his job.
We scaling. I see you Twitch chat saying we scaling. Koopy has the Proto Belt completed right now, but still gonna need at least 1 more item before you can really try and be a terror in these team fights. But they might not even get the option, because unfortunately Barcode getting caught out yet again. Ragnarok will not be enough to save you this time, and Purdue find another pick.
Yeah, and they're just going to keep running through this one with the Herald. I'd expect them to pop mid lane tower, and it's not... Like, they could just sit on that Herald. They could just let it run for a few more towers, and there's realistically not enough room to fight them on the side of Iowa. They don't have the engage to pressure and punish the lack of ultimates here from the side of Purdue, so they kind of just have to sit back and watch. They could be setting a play to the bottom lane right now to try to get GP in trade for this mid tower, but right now I think they're just trying to cut their losses, try to kill the Herald, but things are going to go down anyway.
Yeah, turret does fall. They can try and catch a Herald on the next turret. But it will take a decent chunk there, so Purdue will feel very good about that play, yet to give up a turret of their own.
Oh, look at this Caitlyn build already.
Oh, okay, 7-0-4. Let's just you know, zoom out a little bit and look at the situation.
Thank you, observers.
That Purdue is in.
Thank you, XT.
Literally, thank you. Now show me, Caitlyn.
Yeah.
There we go. This is what we need to look at. 7-0-4, 2 items completed, and still backing. Got more to come.
Yeah, I mean, a big part of Caitlyn is kind of that mid-game trough. Like, you get to the first item, then you're kind of trying to speed run your way to that second and third. That's been just completely taken away. She's already has the rapid-fire cannon, already working on the second Zeal item, has the Berserker Greaves already. In fact, has Zeal plus the dagger as well, so you're even closer to probably a static Shiv, if not a Renounce Hurricane, on this build, and you just start ripping through people. You never hit that downstep.
Bishop had Infinity Edge and Rapid Fire before Boots. Am I correct on that? I believe that Bishop might have just bought those boots. Maybe I already had them.
I don't think so.
Not quite sure. Okay, maybe that was just me messing up that. But the Zeal coming through for sure will mean more DPS from Bishop in these fights. So that's, remember, we want to track how does Bishop position, and more importantly, how does Iowa deal with this Caitlyn?
And it's not just how to deal with the Caitlyn. Like, the Rise is still scaling, as you see. Just completed the Rod of the Ages, has 3 stacks on it so far. Archangel Staff not too far away. But you have the Gangplank as well. There isn't a member of this Purdue roster that isn't a threat, and Fathom B is currently under threat.
Yeah, actually is able to get away far enough. Doesn't even have to burn the flash. Clam Sparkle not willing to fully commit to that deep of a dive, but maybe Iowa can buy some time with that. But look at Koopy in the 1v1 against Holy Carp, takes so much punishment.
Yeah, that ain't gonna go well for anyone, and let alone Koopy, who's still sitting on the one item. Bishop!
This might be the pick they needed. Bishop goes down, and the shutdown over to Barcode. Exactly what Iowa was looking for. They can't find anything else for it. They might lose this top turret, but they shut down the Caitlyn.
And at this point, like, when you are playing Zyra, if you're behind, you live in bushes. You sit and you wait and you hope to find that pick. Thankfully, it's a great pick over the wall for Ben. And we were saying before that I was really expecting Phantom to be the one that has to take over this game. I don't think that's quite happened. At this point, I'd almost say that Ben is going to be the main member to start these fights. I think they live or die at this point, and a little bit more emphasis on the die part around how these ultimates and these grasping
you had to add
through.
You had to just slip it in there.
I gotta say it like it is, and unfortunately the Garden is dying just a little bit here, but
that's because it went with the Infernal skin, so it's all burnt up. Just some crispy lettuce, some crispy radishes, other things that are in.
I'm not sure if Zyra's a radish. That'd be an interesting.
I mean, they kind of look like radishes when you drop them down a little bit. Maybe little strawberries.
A little bulb.
We need to have like a garden Zyra.
It's a lava radish.
A lava radish.
That's some crafting item. It's not a Warcraft. It's got to be somewhere.
Regardless,
your homework, just find us a lava radish somewhere.
Find us a lava radish that we can share. But you're right. Ben is going to be very crucial for Iowa finding the picks, being able to lock members down and deliver that burst with the help of Phantom B. But they got to find the picks. That was the first time that they were actually able to get onto Bishop all game. And you got to imagine Purdue, they're going to realize that and be playing a little safer now.
Yeah, they have to be. I mean, they don't really have to do too much more in this game to win it. They just have to survive. Caitlyn will provide you that sieging threat. Caitlyn plus Gangplank will give you the range you need. And then literally everyone on this Purdue side has so much there's combos with engages. You got Clan Sparkles B, the Insect Lee Sin that we all know and love. You could just wait for the enemy to walk forward, drop a Gangplank ulti behind them, and run at them. You can press Nautilus R. You have so many.
You can just control the map right now.
And I mean, remember,
bottom Drake for free. Now they go up, drop vision around Baron. They have the ability to do this because of how far ahead they are.
Yeah, and this is a Rise too, so you also have that option just to group as 5 in the mid lane, push on out, and then use the Rise ultimate to just get you into the pit anyway. And for Iowa, the key to victory, or the key to just having any amount of hope to come back in this game, is just to interrupt that at every point. Try to attack them when they go for a ward, try to attack them when they're misnumbered on this Baron. Because to be fair, they do have AoE. The issue is just getting in range of that damage to drop for Ben and the Koopy.
They're starting the Baron though. Iowa does know this is happening. Barcode over the wall, trying to spot it out. So Purdue, they're not willing to actually take this fight. They know that Koopy has teleport, could look for something, but they should know based on their sweeping that there's no flank wards for Koopy to look for. That's what Iowa needs to set up. If they're going to actually try and contest Purdue anywhere, it's got to be taking out Bishop as quickly as possible. So you're looking at members. I'm looking at Barcode in particular, thinking, how do you get that deep ward for Koopy to come in from?
Warding. That would be the thing
that's
is for
step
ward,
number one.
you need pressure, and pressure doesn't currently exist anywhere on the map. I think the pressure comes from a pick potentially from Ben. That's the only real way I think you start to work your way in here. But what Purdue is doing is that they're leveraging their pressure in each and every wave, and they're constricting the area that Iowa actually had to play around. So the longer this goes on, the less space that Iowa has to get wards to have control, and the more that map is dark, the more...
Phantom B has the ultimate. He is able to get away, but it's just such a hard position to be in. We talk about trying to get the wards. We talk about trying to find a pick, but when that can happen to you at any given moment, it becomes so much harder to actually make your dreams a reality.
It certainly is, and now with the defensive use of the Ari ultimate, which I think has been kind of a summary of this game, the fact that you're using all these abilities that should be aggressive, should be using to get kills, especially in the early game, using them just to stay alive. With those down, it does make this Baron just a little bit easier for the side of Purdue. Koopy, no TP wards available. One of the top try makers.
Very far forward, but look at the damage coming in with the barrels, with Bishop's autos. There's just nothing to be done here from Iowa. They try and peek into that Baron pit, but ooh, Clam Sparkles, he's alone in the pit right now, taking a lot of damage from that Baron. We'll have to back off, but I think the team will be able to clean this up regardless. Purdue absolutely running away with this right now. Lesnassa finds himself, though, in a 1v2 situation. Maybe he goes down here. Maybe Iowa can get a consolation prize, but I don't think it's meant to be. Lesnassa is able to flash to safety and gets out with that Baron buff.
Yeah, able to secure that one, and now not only having the side lane pressure, not only having the team fight advantage, not only having the engagement, all these advantages plus the Baron buff, Purdue run this Rift. If they lose, it is Purdue losing, not Iowa winning at this point, because it's just complete control. The scaling's in their favor. Is now the third item. It's going to be the Static Shiv coming in for Bishop.
Even the QSS completed, just in case another pick is in the cards here for Iowa. It really feels like at this point, we just focus on how well can Purdue close out this game. When you have this kind of lead, my question is, what is your decision making? Where do you put pressure? Right now, they're choosing for a 1-3-1 composition. I don't mind this. They have a composition that can pull this off.
Yeah, and exactly. And when you think of what are the counters to the split push, it is engage. It is trying to lock down somebody before they get anything else on the map. Iowa does not have engage. If you send 5 members mid, those 3 members mid probably don't die on the other team. The 2 on the sides, though, they get everything. And when you have Baron buff, that's not just a tower they're taking. That's the inhibitor. That's the base towers at that point.
And Lesnassa is going for just that, trying to push in this wave to get the bottom inhibitor. So far, no one from Iowa is answering, but now that they cleared out that mid wave, maybe they look to stop this gangplank. They're just drawn everywhere around the map. Iowa, it's such a hard position to be in with this team composition. They have to look for a miracle charm, a miracle engage from this Zyra, and they're just not finding it right now. Oh, that was some damage from Holy Carp. Now it's a 3v2.
Nasa's taking the inhibitor.
Yeah, Iowa's not even going to win this 3v2. They lose another member. Now the Koopy comes in. They're trying to force the fight. I don't even know what Koopy can do in this situation. They're falling like flies, and Purdue are playing with their food. 17-3, make it 18-3. It's only Phantom B on the defense, and Purdue are looking to dominate this game number 1. Pushing forward, looking for the final kill. They're gonna dive the fountain, you know it. And the kill comes over. Game number 1, picked up by Purdue.
Yeah, this is just absolutely beautiful execution from Purdue. Very well-earned match victory right there. I have to say, I think that's one of the cleanest games we have seen here in a long time.
Yeah, from beginning to end, that was all on Purdue. There was that one pick. That one time the Bishop went down, 7-0-3, ripped the perfect game dream, but still the rest of that was a pretty clean, just standard League of Legends coming in from Purdue. I felt like they always understood where they could put pressure and when they needed to back off.
Yeah, and I think that's the perfect synopsis of that was on that bottom side when they were going for the bot lane play. They see the TP coming from the Koopy, and they just back off. They know that there's nothing that's going to be given away on the bottom side. They can pressure top lane, and then immediately they know that once Koopy's back in top lane, they can make that play on the bottom side of the map. That is perfect League of Legends as it comes to playing around your advantages. It wasn't perfect as in the sense that they did lose a few members in some inopportune fights. However, that was great execution, knowing where they had the advantages and just using them.
Yeah, at the end of the day, it felt like Purdue had a better understanding of what to do with their composition. Pens are flying everywhere.
Yeah, the pens haven't been staying.
We need to lock these down right now. But it felt like Purdue, they looked at their draft and they looked at the enemy's draft and said, okay, we got this. We know exactly how to actually play this out. It's been a while since I've seen a collegiate team pull off a 1-3-1 composition this well, but they did it very well. And part of that is that Iowa, like you said, they didn't draft Engage. They didn't have the answer that you typically see into those 1-3-1 compositions. But I still credit that to Purdue for finding those in the draft and then executing well in the game.
Yeah, I think it was kind of the perfect storm. Like, I think there were definitely some drafting deficiencies from Iowa, but it was also the gameplay, and it was knowing where to be at the right times, like knowing that you could just split the compositions apart, knowing that you can force some TP advantages. I think it was just smart League of Legends at the end of the day. I credit a lot of that to Purdue's draft. I think that was a little bit more well-rounded. I mean, we were going back and forth like who's really going to be the favorite coming into this matchup, but I definitely think that if you just stick to playing around where you know you're strongest, kind of the old art of war, just fight them where they're strong, avoid where they're strong, fight them where they're weakest. That is exactly how Purdue were able to pull off this match victory. Or game victory. We're not out of the match yet.
Game victory, important distinction to make. Beautiful League of Legends being played by Purdue, but we're going to send it over to a short break while we get ready for Game 2. We'll see if Iowa can make the comeback happen or if Purdue will continue this dominance in the series. You won't want to miss it. Hello and welcome back, everybody, as we are halfway through our match 2 of the day for the BTN 2019 Preseason Invitational Week 3. We had a very one-sided victory in that last game. I think that's a delicate way to put it, as Purdue ran away with their composition. We had some hope. I know Zyrene had some hope for the Iowa composition, especially.
Well, no, you heard it was the Death Note.
The Death Note, yeah. Yeah, see, that was a problem.
I didn't understand how it worked.
Yeah, if you put the name
Unlucky.
in the Death Note, they die. That's how it works. Unfortunate, but we'll see if Iowa can bounce back. So, return, I'm curious. Oh, he said it wrong. He said it wrong. Okay, we're good.
Beautiful.
But I'm curious how Iowa should be approaching this second draft, because we talked about a return. When there's a 1-3-1 composition on the other team, you need some form of engage. So what can Iowa do to make sure that they get something that can answer what just happened in Game 1?
I think to start with, they need to be more mindful about where that engage is coming from. So that means you're either putting your jungler onto engager like Sejuani, J4, something that just goes in. I mean, not the most meta thing in the world at the moment, but we're also in Collegiate, so you don't really have to worry about how it's going to hold up at Worlds. Otherwise, support, too. You could start front-loading some engagement down there. I mean, the Leona was available. The Rakan for the Rakan-Xayah combination was up. Also, I'd say don't pick Zyra into a Nautilus match, because that Nautilus was there already. That was a fully knowledge pick. So you need to be ready with these answers, and you just have to have some way to bring the game back from the brink.
Yeah, we'll see if Iowa can do it. Purdue looking strong, and last time they met against each other, keep in mind, Purdue did take the series 2-0. We'll see if that happens again. But before we hop in to that game 2, I want to give another special shout-out to our partner, AnyKey. If you haven't yet, make sure that you go and sign the GLHF pledge to help fight online bullying and toxicity. You sign the pledge, you get a little badge that goes next to your Twitch name, and then when you're chatting, everyone knows that you took that pledge. So make sure you go do that. And also, follow ESL on our social medias at ESL Collegiate and ESL LOL. So hop on social media. You can even vote on what food we're going to be having for the Grubhub Caster Chowdown. It's already been decided, but we'll keep that surprise until the end of the show. I'm excited. It's going to be very excited. It's going to be some fun food, some controversial food as well. But to bring us back to the match that's ahead of us here, we're already 1-0 for Purdue. Zyrene, do you have any faith left for Iowa right now after what you just witnessed in that Game 1?
God, no. Oh, no.
Oh, no.
No.
This is when you're supposed to build a narrative. And Zyrene, we went over this. All right, return. You know, Zyrene, you got your Death Note. That's fine. Return, what are you thinking? What you got?
I think the series is over. I mean, like looking at that game, Purdue played League of Legends. Iowa played maybe Clash Royale or something. It wasn't League, and unfortunately, it just didn't work.
Yeah, they've been playing too much TFT. Maybe they're like, wait, they don't control themselves. We have to.
It's like, wait, what are these lanes doing? I was expecting hexagons.
So then I'm curious, what happens here if Purdue's able to take this? They have only lost one match, and they're looking very dominant in this series in itself. Minnesota and Illinois both undefeated right now. Historically, I've always considered the East Conference the stronger of the two. You always think Illinois kind of the big dogs of the West. Everyone else a few pegs below.
It's like the West and CLOL. It's like UCI and then
Exactly. So now I'm wondering, has that narrative shifted? Are we seeing the Western Conference teams start to make an argument for that being the stronger of the two conferences?
So I think I'm going to say the few words in League of Legends are probably the most said on any analyst desk. I think that the gap is closing. I don't know if it's quite there.
I'm triggered.
I think it's going to be really telling what happens in the Minnesota-Illinois series and then how the playoff turns out. But I do think that the level of play, especially in this division, is starting to come up. You're getting the new blood coming in. You're getting the refinement of the old blood, and it's just, iron sharpens iron. Maybe eventually we'll get a few more teams in the national championships, but for now, I'm holding my breath on it.
Sure. Zyrene, are you triggered by the term gap is closing?
No, but I don't know if it's appropriate here. I think it's a little too soon to make that judgment because, what if there's a team that's all the way up here, right? And then the second best team is in this echelon, but then everybody else is here too, right? The difference between this team and that team is very vast. So when they play each other, it looks like a stomp. But when these guys play these other teams, they're still above them, right? So this team will end like 6-1 and only lose to the guys way up there, but they will just crush everybody else. So I feel like when that happens, there's still this gap. It just doesn't look as obvious.
Exactly. Okay. Interesting. Well, we'll track that as the season progresses, but for now, we got game 2 ahead of us, already well into the ban phase here. Iowa taking away that Nautilus. It gave them a lot of trouble in that game 1, so I'm happy to see this specific change. Purdue, though, they're also respecting that the Rise is potentially a first pick here for Iowa. They grabbed it first right away. It seems like their read on the meta is heavily prioritizing that champion in particular.
Yeah, and actually, we do finally get the first pick. That is Phantom B, most likely, with the Cassiopeia. Yep. He absolutely ran a clinic with it. And also, with the Rise being banned away, you do take a potential of that counter matchup. But I do think that the Rise is one of those things where if I was just looking for a pretty safe side lane to just run, or if say solo lane that'll eventually scale on up, Rise is the perfect option. I think Cassiopeia is kind of that secondary of, okay, Phantom, you don't have to win early like the Ari was, but you still do have some priority as you get later and later into the game. Now,
Zyrene, that's a Kiana locked in.
I wonder what they're going to answer with, because there is a lot of mobility there, and the miasma from the Cassiopeia can fare pretty well in terms of locking down the Kiana.
Right.
But I have seen the typical matchup to be something like a Tristana as the counter matchup, because you can at least just push her back in lane and then go roam before her. And also your rocket jump can be buffered and you can escape. So I feel like if they are going to move this Cassiopeia to the top side, they would pick something like a Tristana and put it mid.
Yeah, there's a lot of options there, certainly, and when you do look at that individual matchup, it is one where if they do keep that Kiana straight into the mid lane versus the Cassiopeia, it's going to be a death lane for the Cassiopeia, most likely time and time through, with a little bit of assistance from Clam, who hasn't really been showing any shyness to get those ganks going on around, but down to the bottom lane, finally see the Lovers duo reunited.
Yeah, the Zyricon is locked in here for Iowa, but we do see a tried and true classic. Usually we see the Nautilus paired with the Kaisa more often, but with that banned out, Leona's a great secondary tool here for Purdue. You have great follow-up, great engage options, and it feels like we're right back into that world's meta.
Yeah, and it's just a counter to the Rakan. You're able to lock him down whenever he wants to go in. You're able to now lock down either the Rakan or Xayah when you want to go with Kaisa. It's kind of a pound-for-pound substitute, just with a little bit more of the skill involvement. The R, of course, now being able to have to, now actually having to hit it instead of just press and forget. But it should still basically get that same kind of methodology, same idea at least, through and through.
Yeah, I actually really like this here. So far, the draft for Purdue is pretty damn good in my opinion. But Iowa, at the same time, they are getting a lot of what they want to. So right now, I don't think anybody's really coming out on top. And it's these last few picks and bans that I think really make the difference and shape this.
I definitely feel that Iowa's first round pick phase is going far better than it did in that last game. I'm curious what being blue side helped out with that, because clearly Purdue were not prioritizing the Lovers duo themselves.
Maybe that's a Kiana jungle, actually. The fact that they don't pick a jungler here after banning off 2 of them does make me think that that could actually be going Clam.
Definitely could. And the Vladimir even also a flexible solo laner, but the Pantheon locked in for Iowa. This is a champion we've seen pretty much permabanned so far. I think this is my first time seeing one in Collegiate right now.
Yeah, I mean, it was picked, I think we actually saw it a little bit earlier in the I don't know if you were here, which means you wouldn't have seen it. It was only picked once at Worlds during the play-in stage, banned every other time, and it's good. I mean, there were some nerfs that came out not only on 2.21, but also 2.2, mostly to the execute range on the Q, but it's just ruthless early game aggression, plus the map mobility that you expect out of a Pantheon, and yeah, that is going to be Kiana going to the jungle.
Pairing it with the Echo, which was banned in the last game, but the answer, Zyrene, is the Azir. Another champion that we haven't seen too much of recently. Again, new patch. Is this something that I missed a memo on?
I mean, Azir is always something that if you're good at him, you can play him as long as he's not complete garbage. And like, up against Cassiopeia, you outrange her. And so I feel like there's a lot of moves you can pull with that and make her kind of push into your team. There's a lot of ways to kind of displace this Cassio that wants to kite. But when I look at these team compositions, I look at Purdue's and I go, damn, that's some scaling. Yeah. They have Kiana in the jungle, they have Kaisa, they have Vladimir, Azir. When you have Vladimir, Azir on the same team, I always go, oh God, who's going to carry this early game? And I always have to like check myself, because Azir does have a rather good / decent early game if people are playing at his maximum range. So it's on Iowa to really push and force the issue here, which is a little nervous for me.
But what I like is that they still have a well-rounded composition. They have AD threats in the Kiana and the Kaisa, along with AP. But it comes down to who's going to outperform who, and I got to give it to Purdue after that first game. I was confident in my prediction last time based on the previous match series. Now I'm going on this match series and say Purdue's going to take this one away as well.
Yeah, I feel a little bit less confident about this just seeing the draft, because I do think there are some weaknesses in the Purdue composition, but I do think this is going to be a pretty clean one. I think we're looking at the 2-0 sweep coming through from Purdue. I don't really see them losing this game with the performance they had last game. It's a little bit scary now that they don't have as much priority in the early game, but I'm feeling this one for Purdue.
You're so satisfied in yourself.
I'm very happy.
I can tell. All right, Cyrene, do you got anything under there? Anything to show? This is show and tell right now. No, you got nothing? All right, well,
No.
how about a prediction?
Oh, wait. No.
Oh.
No, but I feel like it'll be... Okay, I got to go with Iowa again, even though I said I wouldn't. Because I really just...
I'm going to be honest, I might have if I didn't have this.
I know, right? If
Yeah.
you did, you see?
For the pun alone.
He had this already. Oh, man.
Unlucky.
Okay, so we got 1 Iowa, we got 2 Purdue. We'll see what comes of it. It's so
Go for the
dirty.
sweep.
I can see
Yeah,
the
that's
hair
pretty bad.
specs. I wonder if the camera's picking that up.
Put that right here.
But we're ready to hop into game 2 to see if Purdue can take the series 2-0 or if Iowa will bounce back with their first game win. Loading onto the Rift. It's anybody's game.
Yeah, it certainly is. I think that definitely the biggest concern for me out of the Iowa composition, out of the Purdue composition, is that so much of the early game from Purdue was around their early game aggression. It was Clam in the jungle, of course, holding a lot of priority, but then also the solo lanes being able to outplay, and that is what I'm afraid of. If Iowa is able to take so much of an advantage that Purdue doesn't have these points to play around, that I think is how you take down the Purdue composition. However, I still have a lot of confidence in Purdue to take advantages where they haven't.
Can I also just make a quick adjustment here? I did predict Purdue originally. I may have forgotten that Pantheon went through. So that is where I'm going to be focused on the majority of my time, is what can Koopy do with this highly, highly contested pick? Again, we've seen this banned so many times because of how strong it is. So if Koopy is able to do much with this, that is, I think, another way for Iowa to come in, is just using the strength of their composition to their advantage.
Yeah, but last time we saw Pantheon in this tournament, in the BTN Collegiate Preseason 2019 Invitational,
got the whole time.
It didn't
Good
win.
job.
It lost, actually. So
Really?
it's not like a... Yeah, I'm actually struggling to remember exactly which matchup it was, but I do remember specifically at least one Pantheon in this tournament losing. And that's to show that it is not just an instant win pickup. You have to know how to leverage the early game aggression, and more importantly, you need to know how to leverage that early game aggression into advantages. Because if you are 10-0 on Pantheon, it means nothing if you're not able to actually leverage it throughout the map.
Yep, and it also comes down to how your team is comfortable playing around this champion. If it's been banned so much, how much practice do they have? A big part of his kit is being able to join from near global or kind of half global with that ultimate, and turning those fights.
It's like just under top lane to the mid lane. That's a pretty decent range, especially in the early game.
Similar in range to the Galio ult itself, so again, the 1v1, we'll see if the nerfs are enough to really push Pantheon out of the meta or if Koopy is able to win this matchup. But I mean, Cyrene was saying it earlier, the scaling is something terrifying to look at with Purdue's composition. They got the Vladimir and the Azir for the DPS, Kaisa as well for the backline access with the Kiana, and Engage coming in from this Leona. It feels like they got everything.
They basically do, and the only thing they are lacking is just some of that early game lane priority. That's really the only thing I have to say against them. But for Iowa, actually something I really do want to focus in on is that Koopy does take the Ignite here in the top lane. There are two methodologies of playing the Pantheon. You either go for hard kill lane or you go for a little bit more map-minded here. I actually would have preferred to see the teleport, because I almost want to see the main play being Koopy roaming down bottom lane or roaming to mid lane and finding those advantages, getting the map ahead, and then bringing on back to top lane. But with Ignite, you have to get an advantage over LZ Nasta. And right now, I don't really see that happening, but it is still pretty early.
Not happening in the early game. We'll see if it happens as more and more items are picked up. As also junglers can play a big role in that 1v1 on the top side. We saw some skirmishing around the mid side. Well played by Phantom B, using the Miasma to prevent Clam Sparkle from jumping in. And there wasn't enough damage from Holy Carp to really threaten any summoner spells, but that is low mana now on the side of both mid laners. Usually you see if there's a champion that's going to be low on mana, the other enemy champion can abuse that, but as of right now, it feels like both of them
just
are
staring
gonna,
at each other.
Yeah, they're just like, okay, what, you auto, then I auto. We'll just, gentlemen's agreement.
Exactly, but, well, the bird and snake agreement.
The bird and snake.
Well, normally snakes eat
I don't.
the bird,
Yeah, I was
but-
gonna say I don't think they get along.
Well, no, actually, it goes back and forth. If it's a big enough bird, they'll kill the snake and
You're
grab it.
right.
It's like falcons
Yeah.
eat snakes. But, like, snakes will also eat small birds. So
Okay.
that's going to be what it is. If Azir's able to get big, get fed in the early game, he's going to swoop in, just take that snake away. Otherwise, might go the other way. But speaking of the birds and the snakes, early game build coming from Holy Carp is going to be an interesting thing to watch. Of course, with the lethal tempo, you're expecting more of a later game build, especially built around the Nashor's Tooth. The other option is going for the early poke build, which normally you see either the Arcane Commandant or you go for the early Luden's Echo. So that's what you get if you want a little bit early priority. I think that'd be the better build in this situation. However, it does seem like he's going the other way.
Yeah, has the summoner spell, or rather the rune to kind of give that one away.
Right. You still can go for Luden's Echo with this rune, but it's just not as punchy.
Not as punchy, and that's what you want with the Azir in that.
You want to go
early game.
stabby.
You want to stab some snakes. But now look at the bot side. We see the push coming in from Purdue. Bishop and Flawed Logic able to get some wards down, and also Clam Sparkles looking for a potential lane gank here. Channeling that back already, but there's no vision from Iowa. They have no clue that the jungler could be here, and even though Barcode's nearby, you gotta be careful.
You have to be mindful.
Oh, there's the engage from Ben 1. They're baiting it out. Is the Kiana still in the bush? Bishop running away. Now Kiana shows up, trying to get in onto Ben 1. First blood comes through for Purdue, but look at Barcode jumping onto Bishop, trying to look for something. Teleport coming in from the Vladimir. Liznasta not even gonna help take down Barcode. Actually, Barcode might get out here. Has one avenue of escape, but a flash from Clam Sparkle will seal the fate.
Yeah, I think the observers were playing a little bit of trick on us there, as we didn't even see the Echo in that bottom side bush, but that's actually perfect setup for Purdue. Clam Sparkle being rather the Kiana in the bush, knowing that that's exactly where Iowa was going to try to pressure. With the TP though, a little bit disappointing that they don't take the Dragon, but still it's a win nonetheless. Good turnaround here at the start. Bishop able to stay safe. Flawless Logic. Flawed Logic does have to, very two different words, but is able to get on out of the fight. And then, of course, finding that second kill on the Barcode. It's early game advantages on a late game scaling composition. It's the #1 resource that you want.
Yeah.
Gold.
But, I mean, on the side of Iowa, you can say at least the Pantheon gets some solo time on the top lane, but now in a 1v2 situation, not where you want to be, as the Koopy has to flash over that wall. Flash available for Liznasta. Does he want to go for it? Not actually going to find that kill onto Koopy, but still pushing the Pantheon out.
Yeah, that could have been devastating if the kill comes through, because not only do you not have a TP to get back to this wave, and even so, that's going to be the deficit you run into, but giving gold over in the early game to the Pantheon just accelerates his spikes coming through, and Pantheon will not always win that lane. Pantheon will win it when he has the item advantage. If he gives that away, especially before he gets the lethality, there are going to be some problems.
He has the serrated Dirk, so could be looking to do some damage, but Liznasta, you got to imagine, is just going to back and reset himself. Curious what the build will be for the Vladimir. You could go for the Zonias and get that early armor from the Seeker's Arm Guard if need be. But actually, look at the ultimate. No teleport needed from Koopy. Trying to get onto Liznasta, who's in a lot of trouble. Pool to get away is the reward for Koopy to go for. Flash and the Blast Code. And Liznasta does get to safety, but you gotta respect the ability for this Pantheon to actually get to that top side. You don't have the teleport, but you have your ultimate still.
You certainly do, but with all that, it's just another hit and it's just another shot and a miss.
You get the flash out of Liznasta. It feels good.
You get something, but you now have to just double down on it. You have to have a Barcode roam up. You have to have maybe a Cassiopeia roam up. Something must break up there, because if you do not punish Liznasta, Elzinasta rather, while this flash is down, you aren't going to have too many more other options to really take advantage of him, especially since you are on that Ignite Pantheon.
And he is going for an aggressive build, so this is potentially punishable by Koopy. Elzinasta trying to get that Proto Belt first item. But no jungle focus on the top side from Iowa yet. Barcode has not roamed up there on the Echo, not looking to play around this Pantheon as of yet, just trusting Koopy can hold his own, and that's not what I expected to see. I expected some more focus onto the top half of the map and really trying to get this Pantheon online.
Yeah, certainly so, but really hasn't been. Though I do think that Iowa is hoping that if they keep this top lane of the map, top side of the map isolated, that in that 1v1, it will just be a natural victory for the Koopy. Speaking
He's
of
looking
which,
for it, trying to get onto LZ Nasta, but just
wow.
doesn't have the damage. When that pool comes through and the stun doesn't land, you're not going to be able to get that cocker or proc. So unfortunately, it is forced to back off, and Barcode on a ward right now. Polycarp knows this is coming, can easily get away, so maybe helping push the wave. Nope, just taking some of that XP. Classic jungler move. I like it, Barcode. Currently up a level, though, over Clam Sparkle, so that's important to note here. Can the Kiana deal with this Echo and a potential 1v1 if they skirmish at this bottom scuttle? But action on the bot half. Wild Logic goes for it, but no actual pick found yet.
No, and this Purdue just holding lane priority on the bottom side of the map, especially since Clam Sparkle is down here as well, but this is going to start to get to a troublesome point for Iowa. Their main spikes, of course, they have Phantom who gets big a little bit later on, and then Dying looking for probably about the 2-item spike, especially with that W nerf. But about the time, if you wait that long to find any sort of advantage, Purdue just starts winning the game. This ultimate available from Ben, once he hits level 6, that has to get something. You have to start pushing this game further and further at this point. Otherwise, Polycarp already is scaling very nicely into his late game build. LZ Nasta as well is just scaling away on the top side with very little actual repercussion.
But they're a little behind on the play. We saw Barcode look at that bottom wave and actually try and go for a gank, but spotted in the ward meant that Purdue backs off, and Ben isn't level 6 yet to go for that engage.
This is what I was saying needs to happen. The Koopy is already down here in bottom lane. TP not available for LZ Nasta.
And Clam Sparkle's backed.
They need to either go for a dive here or get the dragon. If they do neither, this is a huge waste of time because there's no way for Koopy to get back to top lane.
It feels like the wave just wasn't in the spot that they wanted it to be.
Oh no.
Purdue playing really far back, not giving that opportunity. So unfortunately, Iowa cannot find the play that they're looking for with that Pantheon. So Koopy will just have to take the long walk back topside. And as actually might use the ultimate here. Nope, just gonna walk for it. Oh, you gotta be careful though. Clam Sparkle's here. Oh no. I think the Koopy is looking for the 1v1. Oh, is actually able to spot out Clam Sparkle and take down that River Scuttle as well.
LZ Nasta is a level up here, plus has jungle support, waiting for the Q until after the shield is gone.
Oh, flashes forward with the ultimate display of talent. Takes down the Pantheon. Koopy knew that Clam Sparkle was there and still looked for the play. Aggressive from the Pantheon and loses his life.
Yeah, Pantheon just went for that when he knew full well that Clam Sparkle was available and all and whatnot, but yeah, I'm not sure what he was thinking on that one. Like, it may, like, if he's a goldfish, I mean, the goldfish is a thing where like you don't have object permanence. Like, you saw one, but that doesn't necessarily mean that it still exists.
Where does the goldfish rank in the snake and bird hierarchy? That's what I need to know.
I think birds eat fish.
Birds eat.
So
sure, yeah,
goldfish are fish.
There we go.
We'll go with that. We'll go with that logic for now.
All right, so that's bad news for Iowa then. They're losing on both.
But they're also birds.
They are birds. You are right. But here's an engage on the bot side. Flash out from Bishop. Beautiful from Ben 1, realizing that Flawed Logic had backed off and was not around Bishop at the time. So no flash means that this Kais has got to be much safer.
Yeah, it's going to be very happy just to play on back. And realistically, the only sort of engage I can see working for Iowa at this point is the quickness comboed into either Pantheon jumping in or the Cassiopeia, not Cassiopeia, the Echo rather, jumping in the back. I don't know if Cassiopeia has that much backline dive potential.
Not typically known for that.
Yeah, either way, the only way you get that actually.
Oh, look at this. Stream a shovel onto Phantom B, but the Cassiopeia with the phase rush might be able to outplay this. Doesn't win the trade, but does get out safely.
Yeah, fantastic way to disengage there on the mid lane. That is yet another playmaking tool gone from Purdue, but that's one that you're going to be pretty all right to just survive against. But certainly Iowa going to be really having to dig deep here, finding any sort of play. Ultimate's no longer available from the Pantheon, meaning that if you want to fight something, it has to be through Ben. It has to be through this combination of the Rakan and Echo.
And look at Clam Sparkle going topside yet again. Where is Barcode? Koopy's been pushed in.
Lane.
Yeah, Koopy's been pushing constantly. Barcode has yet to come up. Koopy goes forward again onto LZ Nasta. We know the Clam Sparkles is here, but Iowa does not. Barcode's going in, trying to make the play, but Clam Sparkle shows up, takes down Koopy. Might die to Barcode, but does get out safely. with the stealth barcode on the wrong side of the map. Has to get through LZ Nasta, can't find her, and a double kill to Clam Sparkle.
And that's absolutely devastating there as once again, Iowa, they try an aggressive play, but it is read like a book.
Oh, look at the bot side here, though. I'm dying. Caught under the turret. The dive will come through. Do they get the kill? The answer is yes. Easy peasy. Purdue get another one.
Yeah, that's just as simple as they come. Walk at enemy, kill enemy, spam taunt at enemy. That is exactly how it goes down time and time again. And this is just Iowa falling apart at the seams.
And it's heating up here. Purdue putting some plays on, but there's action elsewhere in the tournament. We have a very important match between Illinois and Minnesota going on right now to determine who's going to stay undefeated. So we're going to send it over to Zyrene for an update.
Yeah, like you said, it's going to be Illinois and Minnesota playing against each other right now. And so far, it's actually been Minnesota winning the game. They had a blitzcrank pick. They've been pushing down that bottom lane. They have been punishing the Thresh. And even just the play from the Xayah so far has been great too. Lots of cleanses on these Veigar stuns. And they've had a lot of jungle attention there too. So they've been coming out on top so far, and Minnesota has a large lead.
Yeah, you guys might not have seen that, but there was a few fist pumps going on under the desk here for the Minnesota. Ben 1 going down to the tower.
Ben 1 looking for an aggressive play onto Holy Carp and just cannot find it. The ultimate is a very strong tool for this Azir to use, and you got to respect that as Ben even uses the flash, but you know what, Minnesota 4-0, undefeated right now, might even take down Illinois. Big news for that squad, but more play here in the mid side in Purdue versus Iowa. A trade of kills as both mid laners go down, but Koopy has to flash to safety, respecting the ability for Purdue to burst him down. Clam Sparkles is just all over the map. Iowa has no way to control this player. Oh, look at the bot side, though. A potential all-in. I'm dying almost goes down. The Bishop diving straight in. There's a teleport coming in. There's no way for Bishop to escape. Has to run away. Gets locked down, and the shutdown goes over to I'm dying, but can Purdue turn it? LZ Nasta trying to dive in onto the Xayah. Does get the kill, but now Barcode's joined in as well. Koopy's got his cooldowns. LZ Nasta in a lot of trouble, and Iowa should be able to get another one. Barcode has to chrono break back. LZ Nasta still alive. Another TP. Perfect display of talent. Purdue are turning the fight again. Holy KRP going on to Ben. Flashes forward for the kill. Might take down Barcode. Barely does it, but Clam Sparkles once more gets the double kill. And Purdue are still in the fight. Phantom gets stunned. Tries to land the Petrifying Gaze. Cannot get on the Clam, but Flawed Logic can do nothing but fall. Iowa do their best to hold on, and I don't even know who won there.
Going on? All right, so this fight starts off with I'm dying and Koopy responding to the movement in bottom lane. And if you are Purdue, this is a fight you just lost. There is no dragon, there is no objective. Why are you TPing into this play? It comes through nonetheless, and of course LZ Nasta able to pick off this kill eventually, but at this point in the game, you are just trying to win as cleanly as humanly possible. LZ Nasta is already in deep, but at this point, instead of getting advantage somewhere else, Herald is up and available. Just go for it, but they've sent the troops as well. Clam Sparkle's coming in, TP available and used from Holy Carp, but this is just so... This is exactly what happened in Game 2 of Ohio State versus Michigan State. It is just... the Ohio State University, rather. It is just over-aggression at this point, and Phantom B is actually going to have some really nice play here on the back end. Grabs the ultimate to keep Flawed Logic off him, predicts this movement with the Q to land the poison as well. Poison once again, but that's just so much more.
Oh!
You didn't need to give over.
Is the tick going to go through? I don't think so. Look at Clam Sparkles catching out Phantom B a little too far ahead, but Barcode wants this. Oh, you can tell. Not going to find it. And during that replay, we did see the Ocean Drake go over to the side of Iowa. So at the very end of that chaos, there was an objective taken returned. We are still playing League of Legends, but who's playing League of Legends on the top side? Koopy versus LZ Nasta, not winning the 1v1. The Vladimir is just destroying Koopy, trying his best, but there's just nothing to be done.
Yeah, the silence is correct. You do not expect a Pantheon to be losing a lane like this against the Vladimir. Just so much that has been left out in the early game, and unfortunately, Iowa, they haven't been able to capitalize on the Ignite top laner. They haven't been able to bring him away from lane and at least play away from the low pressure of top lane. And this is just the perfect storm of nothing happening. The only thing that Iowa has to fall back on now is Phantom, who's actually been doing pretty well, like farming up in this lane, being able to stay competitive.
Oh, no.
But just anything that Purdue ends up giving them, that is what you look for.
Bishop barely gets out. Flawed Logic is able to keep him safe, but now Flawed Logic's in some trouble. They're diving under the turret. Can the Leona lock them down? They actually outplay and get 2 for their troubles. Purdue with the outplay 2v3.
Yeah, really smart there from Flawed Logic, knowing to hold the ultimate, but here comes Pantheon.
Oh, boy.
Here comes the Koopy.
Looking for Bishop, trying to get that XQ damage with the Q. Can't quite find it, but will have the damage regardless. Stun comes through, a double kill, and gets out safely with the dip of the Fedora, but topside Purdue is able to pick up one for themselves.
Yeah, okay, good move away from Goopy as he has to find something on this map. I wonder here why you don't just wait for the Koopy to be on this bottom side. Like, if this is a 4-man dive, you get out without absolutely anything, but it is the bit lackadaisical of the planning on this play that gives so much back over towards that other side. Purdue are able to pick up 2 kills. That does eventually make it worth it for Bishop and Logic to stick around here. Good thought process from the Koopy, knowing that this is a play you can follow up on, but it just needs to be the combination of those factors. You need to be knowing when you can make those roams all together instead of on their own, where Purdue just comes out on top.
Purdue find themselves with a 5,000 gold lead. They just take that mid turret with the help of Rift Herald, and they're going to get some damage in onto the tier 2 as well. Cleared out the entire top jungle. When you're this 1-4 Echo as Barcode, and you look at the enemy team, you're like, that's an 8-0 Xayah. Yes,
Yeah.
I have ult. Yes, you know, I can avoid assassins, but I don't want to. I just don't want to even worry about it.
This is that perfect point of the game for Purdue where it's like it's the Venn diagram coming together. You have the early game power that is an 8-kill Kiana, plus now the Nashor's Tooth completed onto Azir. Once he gets that second item, he'll start doing some damage. 3 items, obviously a bit more ideal. And Bishop's on 2 items. Manamune into Muramana is already starting to scale up. You have Rage Blade completed as well. You're going for a mid to late game focus carry since you haven't gone for the Storm Razors. There isn't a member on this Purdue squad that is weak right now. Deathcat's also about to be completed in the top.
But you have to respect the key carry from Iowa on the player's key champion. Phantom B on this Cassiopeia. We've seen him do crazy things. Maybe, just maybe, able to clench this one out. But, oh, trap set for the top side. Holy Carp takes a lot of damage, uses the Emperor's Divide. Flash by Koopy, trying to follow up, but now on the bot side, that's just what a Kiana can do. Nothing to see there, but now still Koopy looking for more onto Holy Carp. Really wants that solo kill, but cannot find it. You can taste the desperation coming in from Iowa.
Yeah, it's the strongest taste in the world right now in the mouths of Iowa. But I also appreciated how casual it felt like that disengaged top was. Like, oh, hello, Pantheon. Whoop, and gone. But
press ult.
Gods to me.
Click under turret.
Yeah.
Pantheon flashes.
Yeah, good outplay, actually. Holy Carp is able to stay alive in that top, especially after Koopy tries to go for that last XQ, but still, just anywhere on the map, it is a desert for Iowa. There is not a oasis of fight in sight.
Well, there's an Ocean Drake. That would, you know, help quench.
Might wet the tongue.
Yeah, a little bit. But can they get it? Can they even take this fight? It's 2v5 right now with the teleport coming through. Barcode's going to go down. Phantom B falls as well. And look at Koopy ulting in like a madman, trying to turn the fight around, but now caught out from the remaining members of the team. 3 picked up for free for Purdue, and they're going to get this dragon. Or go for the Baron.
Yeah, Baron works. They don't care about dragons this game. They already gave away 2 of them.
He's like, come on, guys. I'm important too, right?
Are you telling me the dragon's sad he's not dying?
You know what? On second thought, Baron's like, whoa. This is too early. It's 22 minutes. You can't do this yet.
He already has to deal with like the Dragon Slayer and Pantheon. It's like, just give him a break, man. But either way, the Dragon will be staying up, but Baron will not be hanging around for too much longer. That is some DPS in this competition from Iowa. And they are now just fully in control. If they weren't already of this game, we can watch that bot lane engage one more time.
Yeah.
It's just Barcode being somewhat surprised. There's no rotations from Koopy, who does have the ultimate. Actually, no, it's actually just a few seconds away from being available. But by the time it is available or is in range, no, that is actually into the bottom lane. By the time he sends it to the bottom lane, it is just too late. There's nothing left to fight for. And the 3 late game hyperscaling threats for Purdue, they're putting this one to bed.
Clam Sparkle
They already got-
tries to catch up Ben.
Yeah.
Can't quite find him there, but with the Baron picked up from Purdue, not only did they win the team fight, they get a huge objective for it. So what can they do with this now? They got to control these waves. It seems like Iowa's answer is trying to pick out members in rotation. They don't care too much about contesting this dragon right now. They're just looking for anyone caught out.
I think that Iowa does actually have to get this dragon, though. When you're looking at this competition, there's no way they even come close to outscaling. I don't think they realistically
Clam Sparkles, baby!
Goodbye.
Gets an assassination just like that. That was like 0.2 seconds. That's not even fair. Maybe gets caught out by Koopy, but there's just not much his Pantheon can do to stop this Kiana.
No. Clan Sparkles won the game. Not even Purdue. Clan Sparkles won League of Legends.
10-0 and 4 on the Kiana. Koopy gets dove under turret and will go down. Iowa gave it their best effort, but when you're 9.5K in the hole, when there's a 10-0 Kiana on the enemy team, it's so hard to fight your way back from this kind of deficit.
Yeah, they put all their eggs into the Pantheon top basket, and unfortunately that basket's got a few holes in it, as it does seem.
Well, I mean,
Ben
I think maybe they were trying to put like liquid in there or something. They got the ocean drakes, it's just leaking all out.
Yeah, that's it.
Basket's not.
They got the fire, the basket's on fire.
Oh yeah,
Pretty
that
accurate.
too. Look at this, another engage from Clam Sparkles. Perfect display of talent. Phantom B tries to throw out the ultimate, doesn't land onto anybody. Ben 1 goes deep, but Vladimir buying time. So does Azir with a beautiful Emperor's Divide for the rest of the team to follow up on. A double kill to Bishop. He does go down after the triples picked up, but a 1-for-3 trade. Purdue will take that. They even pick up Phantom B, who's just a little too far forward, and they can push this mid.
Yeah, and now it is Koopy versus everyone. The thought process of the draft was we're just going to let Pantheon win the game. Now it is time for him to try to live up to that. Fortunately, it seems a little bit unlikely. As
Doing a dance. He's trying to get in the mental of the opposing team.
The professional move.
All calculated, all planned as Purdue will take that middle inhibitor. Koopy trying to do what he can to just pull this wave away, but now you're caught out from anywhere that's safe. Jumps over the wall, trying to get onto Holy Carp. Can he actually find him? Oh, it's the Shade Pengu. The Ignite should be enough. Does he get the shield? He can't.
No.
Oh, Koopy picks up one kill. There's no way he gets out.
Ignoring the Iowa, you need to go Dragon right now. There are 3 people up here chasing.
Koopy, can he do it? Can he make the miracle play? Clam Sparkles is low on health. He can't get the execute. Holds the Q for a little too long. Oh, a hero's heart.
Spartan is fallen.
In Koopy, trying his best.
It's a little bit less heroic than the 300 death, but you know, it does still buy Iowa something. I mean, Dragon number 3 going on the board.
Well, how many units does Kiana count for at this point?
All of them. 299.
Okay, there we go.
No, the Kiana is physically the like immortal millions. Like Kiana's all of Persia right now.
All of Persia.
All the Persian Empire.
I like that. I like that analogy. Phantom B trying to defend against LZ Nastin. Actually doing a really good job in this. Oh, perfect display of talent does go wide. Beautiful petrifying gaze. Can you find it? Phantom B with the turnaround and shuts down the 10-0 Kiana.
All right, so ladies and gentlemen, stick with me here. Lend me your ears.
You don't have time, return. There's no time. Ben looking for the engage, trying to lock down Bishop, doesn't land the taunt. Bishop getting turned. Barcode has to ult away to safety. Bishop takes down Ben before falling, but the shutdown still goes over to Iowa. They're getting some gold in their pockets.
Yeah, they're getting something, but they're not really getting any advantages off of it. The Ben going down, trading for Bishop is honestly a trade you're fine with. Clam Sparkle already being down also limits their ability to play on the map. But hear me out. For Iowa, with 3 dragons currently, if they extend that lead to 4 dragons, depending on how long till the next dragon comes out, maybe 5, I think 4 though, plus you get the Elder Dragon, a 4-dragon Elder with Cassiopeia may be what you need for the straight up 1v9 Cassiopeia. That is the only way in any universe, any cinematic timeline that you are looking to win this game from Iowa.
That's the brightest timeline.
It is purely Phantom versus Purdue.
Phantom in the 1v9. Can this little snick step up to the plate? You have tools around you to help make it work. potential fight breaking out here as Barcode and Phantom B are looking forward. Clam Sparkles does not land the perfect display on the intended member, but does find Barcode. Flawed Logic taking a lot of damage, does go down. Look at Liznasta jumping onto the backline, but can't quite find it. Clam Sparkles does take down Barcode. It's a 1-for-1 trade so far. Ben in trouble. Flash from Koopy. They have to disengage. Maybe they can turn back on the Bishop. They get him. I'm dying. Has the damage. Koopy on the front line trying to tank up what he can, but LZ Nasta takes down Phantom B. Phantom B's out of the fight. Where's the damage gonna come in from Iowa? It's got to be the 80 carry, but Dying's dead too. Super's pushing mid. Iowa's got to retreat.
Yeah, they gotta fall back at this one, and even if the game doesn't end, there's a Baron on the board, but I got a feeling that this may be all she wrote. TP coming in. It's a 3v2, but with Holy Carp and Clam Sparkle, that feels like a whole lot more than 3.
Yeah, 3 members pushing in with the super minions. Ben and Koopy on the miracle defense. Can they make it happen? Koopy's gonna go down, but the Nexus is still falling. Holy Carp doing what he can, and it will go the way of Purdue. 2-0, they'll take the series.
Yeah, and I think it's the expected result. A little bit sloppy of play from Purdue towards the mid to late game there, but the end result really was never in question for me. That is a solid performance from Purdue. And Iowa, you know, they gambled, they put it on Pantheon, and didn't work.
Clam Sparkles.
Clam Sparkles is
Can we just say that name a few more times? Clam Sparkles.
Clam Sparkles legitimately was probably the reason this game was won from them.
Yeah.
So a lot of this early game from Purdue was very focused on negating it from Iowa. It was making sure there wasn't a Barcode gank that caught them off guard, and that is exactly what Clam Sparkle did. I don't think there was a single lane that Barcode rolled up to before 20 minutes that wasn't immediately counter ganked. That was phenomenal jungle play and great lane presence as well. It's that shut down everyone, including Phantom from Iowa.
Yeah, this poor Pantheon was just stuck in a 1v2 topside for what felt like a lot of the laning phase, and Barcode was not going up there. You're right, though. It was all of Purdue understanding where Clam Sparkles needed to be and making those plays happen. Plus, maybe a little over-aggression from the Pantheon, if we're being honest, walking up a little too far forward. But once Akiana got the lead, it never let go. There was that one shutdown. Again, no one's having a perfect game this day in League of Legends, but still Purdue putting on a clinic right now.
Yeah, Purdue are looking fantastic, and I think you really have to be looking for them to be that kind of that wild card member, as we do have Illinois versus Minnesota still going on right now. Somebody has to lose a game. Somebody has to end up being either the same score, or actually, because Purdue wins this, I believe they're now at 3-1. The loser of that game between Minnesota and Illinois will either be 4-1 or 3-1. And that means that you are within striking distance. Purdue, if they keep this performance up, they may just slide in there as that late favorite, or the late underdog, rather, that makes it into that playoff bracket.
Yeah, that would be a beautiful story for that team in particular. Great day, to say the least. 2-0 in dominant fashion. A lot of eyes are going to be on Purdue going forward. But to take a closer look at how they're able to close out that game, let's send it over to Zyrene.
This was a fight that happened later in the game. It was one of, not the final one, but one leading up to it that I really thought demonstrated a few things that when you try to kind of take a numbers advantage fight when you're behind, it feels like a really good opportunity to do so, but the execution is really what matters. You can't get too overeager. So if we look at this really quickly, just look at the mini-map. Azir is a little bit out of position. He's going to head towards the top lane, and then the engage is going to happen. And you can see Kaisa is really far up in the mid lane. So let's start rolling this out here, and you're going to see that they find Clam Sparkle. They go on to him here, and they feel like this is a good opportunity. The disengage comes through, good dodge with the chrono break, and then look at Azir, he's coming back, and I think a big thing here that a lot of people miss when they're playing things like Azir is they normally take a route that is more along these lines. You go all the way around the top, and then you come down here to get into this fight, considering you're the red team, right? You'd really want to go around, try to, position yourself, but what he's going to do is he's going to come into the backside here, and he's going to make sure that he sections off this area, and if this team goes forward, they make it perfect so that they are completely sectioned off. And that's exactly what happens here. So let's roll this out, and you're going to see he comes in, the Rakan goes through, overcommits on the left or the right side of this fight, and then Holy Kerp comes through, sections them off, separates the team, the Emperor's Divide aptly named here, and they're able to start cleaning this fight up when the Kaisa was a little late to it, when the Azir was a little late to it. It was a perfect fight in terms of the idea behind it, but really the execution was not in the favor of the blue team at all. You know, Iowa, they went for that fight because they had an idea of, oh, we have numbers advantage, but they weren't able to get the best ultimate off at the beginning. The Rakan is a little late on it. They're getting counter-engaged, pushed back by Kiana. And so I think the disengage is really something that required a lot of, or I guess deserves a lot of praise, because the follow-up engage that happened because Iowa got too greedy really sealed the deal on that fight.
That play from the Azir was beautiful. Coming in at that angle. You didn't catch as many as I thought at first, but he caught enough and then stayed alive for them to just sweep the fight. And, I mean, the game was already in a pretty unwinnable state for Iowa at that point, but it was still beautiful to see that kind of team fight objective from Purdue.
Yeah, and I think that Zyrene really hit the nail on the head there with Iowa. It was a bunch of some things that were the right idea, like, you know, that fight going through. And even with the compositions, the ideas were there. The execution, though, was severely lacking for me. They weren't able to string things together. Even that one bot lane dive that I had mentioned, like, oh, if they had waited for this Pantheon who ended up coming bot lane anyway, if they waited to do that as a 4-man squad, then yeah, that's a huge win for them. 2 kills probably for nothing, plus a tower is a great victory. The problem is that they're thinking all these individual thoughts and playing this solo Q-esque game at times when they could be bringing things together for that one knockout punch.
Yeah, and that's what you have to do against a team like Purdue. After we saw game 1, playing that 1-3-1 composition, different approach to this game. This was much more grouping up, and that's what I love to see is the versatility in play styles that a team can show on any given day. This is 2 games back-to-back where they did not play the exact same game of League of Legends, and that's what I want to see from them going forward.
Yeah, I mean, true that both competitions were a little bit more towards the late game, like when you have a Rise, when you have, but you're 100% right that there's versatility, and it's not even like there's weakness in the early game. Like normally when we talk about a late game comp, we're saying, oh, these guys are weak in the early game, abuse them and just run through. No, this is more of like, not quite a Korean style, but more of a controlled style in the early game. You are not giving away those advantages. You're not giving away those weak points, but you are still scaling into a fantastic late game. That's kind of what you want to be seeing out of a team of this caliber. And now Purdue, if they can just hold on to this versus potentially the loser of the Minnesota-Illinois match, they might be able to sneak on in. I think they have the level to do so. The question is whether they're actually just going to show up and perform.
And I want to know who's doing the draft for Purdue. And maybe Twitch chat can let us know, whoever the coach is, whoever handles
Coach
that.
Dreher was the
Coach Dreher, right.
Yeah, good friend of amateur.
Yeah, fantastic drafting, I'd say, from Purdue throughout that series. I was very impressed with what the team was able to put together and how they performed as well. But that does it here for BTN 2019 Invitational Week 3. We got one more segment ahead of us return. I know you're excited. I'm excited about this.
My first time on the desk for this.
It's your first time on the desk for this. You actually get to participate in the Grubhub cast and chat chowdown. Do you know what the food is?
I got an idea.
You got an idea? All right. It was spoiled for me, I'll admit. I always like it to be a surprise, but this time I do know ahead of time. So we're going to bring that on out, and we just get to hang out. We get to chat. What's our topic going to be this time?
I don't know. I think we just talk about the game.
Twitch chat. Twitch chat can let us know.
Oh, but we do have an update coming via Twitch chat. So potential asterisk to throw on this one. Thank you very much, Grub Hobby. I do always appreciate when I have the larger box.
Oh, what?
Very nice, very nice.
What is this?
But apparently Illinois did win game 1, so maybe a little bit of a shot to the Minnesota pride.
Really? Okay. Hey, good on them for coming back. No, hey, impressive.
I mean, it's funny because you're a Minnesota native, I'm an Illinois native, so we got a split family here.
We do have a little interesting dynamic.
You're kidding
right now.
me.
Oh yeah.
Twitch chat, I am so sorry for this individual on this desk. He got pineapple on his pizza.
It's the only way.
But thank you very much, Twitch chat. We got some spicy, I mean, not spicy, but we have some non-spicy pizza pies.
Where are my pineapple lovers at?
Oh, this absolutely disgusting human being. I am sorry that he is on this broadcast, but I'll take a hot slice as well, as Purdue did take a hot slice out of that game. Just absolutely getting it done, I believe, as we said, and not overset at all.
I gotta enjoy this pizza and torture this man's mind while he gets to watch me enjoy said pizza. But thank you for stopping by, and we'll see you tomorrow, same place, same time, for some more BTN action. You're not gonna want to miss it.